a W. Hell yeah. Ready. Have some fun tonight. Go get us a W. Hell yeah. Ready. Green. What the? Copy. Right foot down. We got to go, Brad. Unbelievable, man. Way to keep your head in it. Holy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Yeah. What? Yeah. I'm done with it. Fix your face. Set sail. Steve, you look beautiful. Doing great. Ridiculous, dude. Holy. You see that? Holy cow. Good job, man. Two times, baby. Yeah. Holy crap.
Apologies, we were on some of that gateway internet after the track experience this past weekend. Sorry for the delay, but we're here. We're back. My name is Eric Estep. I'm your host this week, joined as always by the NWP crew. We've got Darian Gilliam, a.k.a. Black Flags Matter, Danny B Talks, and Jarrett Lundberg, a.k.a. The Iceberg. Gentlemen, it's great to see you. I know a couple of you guys were out at St. Louis this past weekend. We're going to get your take on the gateway races. We're going to answer the chats, super chats, of which there are already many. We'll get to those during the first super chat stage break. But before we can talk gateway and Portland, for that matter, let's start out with our spicy hot take segment. Danny, let's start with you. What do you want to get off your chest this week?
I kind of died on this hill on Twitter earlier this week, and I'll continue to stand on this hill. Austin Cindric was and always was a innocent man this week. He did not even come close to trying to intentionally wreck Austin Dillon. He was going pretty much straight as could be, getting ready to make his turn. Austin Dillon drove up in front of him, cleared himself, and then basically threw a tantrum and started saying, hey, he needs to be suspended just like all the other ones. When, that's not what happened. You cleared yourself, and then he tried to play the victim. Didn't happen, Austin Dillon.
Dang. All right, Jarrett, you're up next.
Well, this is something we'll probably briefly mention on the lightning round, but it has to do with broadcasting and with Amazon's very apparent interest in NASCAR, with Fox needing NASCAR, and NBC seeming to need to fill up that space in the summer when there aren't Olympics for 3 out of every 4-year cycle. So my hot take is this, and it might seem really odd in the grand scheme of sports, but I think NASCAR's new TV deal not only will be bigger than the last, I think it will also be bigger than MLB's. So I did a little research here. You have some juggernauts like the NFL, $113 billion contract, gets about $10.4 billion a year. You have, NBA getting $75 billion. NHL actually gets less than NASCAR, $4.4 billion for their deal. NASCAR currently gets $8.2 billion or $820 million a year. The MLB gets about $12.2 billion. I think that with Amazon seeming to want to pay big, wanting into NASCAR, with Fox being desperate and probably going to overpay to keep that sport, and also being the biggest contributor to MLB, so you can see where they will put money in if they want it, I think they will have a deal of at least $12.2 billion or more come end of the summer.
That's some big money right there. That's hard to fathom personally, but I like it. Darian, we'll go to you next. What are you thinking about this week?
I have seen the future. I have seen it with my own 2 eyes.
Oh boy.
By the end of the 2020s, I guarantee you this. I'll take it to the bank right now. Front Row Motorsports will be a true championship contender by the end of the 2020s. Look at their roster right now. Just look at it. Yes, you have Michael McDowell. He's done a superb job in that ride. Obviously, Daytona 500 champ. But look at the future, though. Yes, I know, right? Beautiful car. Look at the future, though. You got Zane Smith waiting in the wings, and in his select starts, he's been superb. I mean, he recently damn near got a top 10 finish in the Coke 600, I believe. And then Todd Gilliland in his select starts with the team has also been phenomenal. And even when he's driving for Rick Ware Racing, he's still able to maintain a top 25 points position. So I think I've seen enough with those two. If I am Front Row Motorsports, you already have a championship in the Truck Series. but somehow convince Ford to move you up the ranks, certainly move you up ahead of Storehouse Racing with the way they've been running these days. And if they can lock those two drivers down and keep working at it in the Cup Series, I could see that team being a championship contender in the future. They're already doing well now, and they're going to do even better in the future.
So wait, I heard you mention Zane Smith. I heard you mention Todd Gilliland. So you saying they dump McDowell after this year?
Well, hold on. Perhaps, McDowell could be on to bigger and better things, maybe. I heard Storehouse Racing's looking for a few drivers in the future.
Yeah, that's not bad. I like it. I think they got to hold on to Zane Smith. You can't let Blake Harris get poached one year and then Zane gets poached the next year. That would just suck, at least for morale.
I agree.
My hot take in typical me fashion, I don't know how hot it really is. It's just more of a bigger topic I want to discuss a little bit. I think it was during one of these hot take segments a few weeks or maybe a few months ago, I said that I was a little disappointed with Garage 56 because that Le Mans entry is supposed to be a reserved for an innovative car, some sort of car showcasing new technology. And there's really nothing about this Garage 56 car that's doing that. Originally, they were going to implement some sort of electrical or hybrid component that could one day make it to a real Cup car, but they never did. That got scrapped. I imagine budget cuts. I have no idea. So I was kind of down on this whole thing coming in, but I have to say this past week, scrolling through social media, TikTok, Twitter, you name it, I have seen so many positive comments, tons of coverage, TikToks with millions of views raving about just how gnarly the Garage 56 car looks and sounds. Like NASCAR's goal with this project was to look good on the world stage. And I think also maybe to attract manufacturers, maybe to continue to attract international drivers like Kamui Kobayashi, which was announced earlier today. And I guess this isn't really a hot take, but my take is that they actually are succeeding with this. I didn't expect it to go over as well as it has. They freaking won the pit crew challenge in their class. NASCAR has had about as great a week in France as they could have hoped to have. And in many ways, that's overshadowed the fact that the car itself, as far as I can tell, is not really innovative technologically in any significant way. So
hey, it sounds good compared to the rest of those cars. And shout out to the one and only David Land for posting that video. I saw it make the rounds on Twitter and stuff. Just the difference in engine sounds between the other cars and stuff. Just it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about that a little bit because I don't think it's really a topic in the show tonight. And the actual 24 hours of Le Mans is, when is it? June 11th. It's in a few days. I think it's this weekend. I believe, but I just want to mention it. Like, it also opened my eyes to the fact that, I don't know what's going on with F1 and Andretti and Cadillac, if that's died or if that's still, they're chugging along, trying to get, into the series. But boy, F1 I think is going to live to regret not, if they don't let Andretti and Cadillac in, because I think this is just further proof that Americans, especially American race fans, are itching for an American team, someone they can truly root for, a contender to go abroad and be showcased on the world stage. And so,
now technically Haas is there, but I mean,
but like they're not really
they're not really a contending team like that. Yeah.
So anyway, I put a poll in the chat who had the hottest take. Darian, with his front row, is going to be a contender in the next 7 years. Gets the is currently winning by a pretty wide margin. I'll leave that up for a few moments.
I thought NASCAR overtaking the MLB for bargaining rights, one of the big four networks would be, or sport leagues would be a little bit higher, but I guess
know what? Maybe they agree with you. Maybe that's why, it's like, Jerry, you're right. Well, I mean, you're about to take second, it looks like. So at least you get that.
That seems like there's only 14% that are Austin Dillon fans, 13%.
To me, the hottest part of Darian's take is that Michael McDowell could be on the out and might end up with a Stuart Haas or some other team. That would be pretty spicy. That'd be pretty zesty if something like that happened. Let's move on, gentlemen. First off, it's great to see everyone watching live. Been trying to keep tabs on the chat. Appreciate you guys sticking it out through our little 10-minute technical delay. But we have over 500 live concurrent viewers right now on YouTube. Really appreciate you all being here. Let's talk about Gateway first and foremost, gentlemen. Real quick, before we get into it, I have a few questions I want to ask about particular contenders, but I want to ask the two panelists who were at Gateway, how was it? I'll start with you, Darian. I know you were there. You were there last year as well, correct? So how did year one?
I was.
You weren't? Oh, were you there, Jared? Okay, I'll start with you instead. Jarrett, you were there year one to year two. How did the event compare in its second season?
Well, I mean, it's difficult because of the delays. I would definitely want to put that in the perspective first. I will say the crowd in the midway and in the infield especially, I know they sold out and it's supposed to be relatively the same amount of people. It felt more full when it came to walking through with fans. At one point, Darian and I, about, what was it, Darian? 3 hours before the race, walked out there, and you could not walk around out there because there were so many people packed on in. So maybe people got there earlier. The energy seemed really high. So when it came to that aspect, I think that they matched last year at the very least. The fans, the energy the fans had, they stayed through all the lightning delays, rain delays. It was funny because I overheard people who don't live in the Midwest in the media center saying, why aren't these fans getting inside? It's a lightning warning. And like, yeah, these are Midwesterners. So,
it ain't storming there. So
yeah, storms, tornadoes, lightning. That is like a national pastime to watch as a sport as a Midwesterner. So the fans brought it. Racing, I'll put it like this. It was not the worst race of the year by any means. I didn't think it was as good as last year's. But there was passing. I guess the broadcast just didn't show it. Because Carson Hocevar, at one point, we'll talk about him in a bit, went from 35th to 16th almost all in one run. Denny Hamlin was, up front passing guys up, back and forth. A lot of those guys up front were passing each other. Dirty Air was significant. I'm not going to say it wasn't, but I also think that if maybe the broadcast focused on more than just the first 5 for much of the race, they would have seen there was a lot of people going back and forth at different points. I personally gave like a 5 out of 10 race-wise. I think the product needs to be fixed. I know Denny Hamlin talked about fixing the tire. So that's where I'd go with it. I think event-wise, fan-wise, maybe not internet-wise, but mostly everything outside the racetrack brought their A game. Now NASCAR and Goodyear need to get it with the racing product too.
Darian, I saw you had a good view of that explosion. How hot was that?
Oh, it was hot. But well, hold on. Did Fox Sports really miss that again?
Yeah, they didn't show it. They showed it later, like from an onboard.
Yeah,
like
you only get it from the onboard cams.
Yeah,
wow.
I remember thinking, I didn't tweet anything because I was like, maybe they didn't do it this year, but I'd heard they were going to do it. And when they missed it again, I was shocked because they were showing nothing. They cut to like a random baby in the crowd. They were showing nothing.
Oh, of course.
It's something. It's something that is like known for Gateway at this point. They did it for the IndyCar races. I think they used to do it for some of the truck races too. But it's just something that it's just. Before the race, they dropped napalm on Gateway. So
damn, but yeah, no, it was hot, and really the entire weekend was it was hot. Definitely, I ended up wearing jeans on Saturday, and then regretted it once I got back, and then made the choice of wearing shorts on Sunday, thankfully. But the race was pretty good. I think for Gateway standards, I mean you know what you're getting when you come to Gateway. I mean, it's a similar track to what, New Hampshire in a sense. Would you say maybe? Or just a little, just slightly.
It's like Phoenix.
Yeah. Okay. So Phoenix probably because of the slider banking or whatever, just the way it's shaped. But yeah, no. Just the fans there though. I mean, St. Louis, man. St. Louis, they can be loyal. They can be loyal. You got the Cardinals, the Blues, and then before Kroenke, ruined it, and they were supported with the Rams for a little bit. So doesn't matter what sport's coming out there, they are going to support it 100%. And NASCAR is no exception. Just being out there, like you had to basically juke through the crowd. It felt like, because it was so crowded, And I was just at the Indy 500 the previous weekend. Now, obviously, Indy 500, 300,000 people. But for a Cup race in St. Louis for its second year, it's pretty damn good. And I think this track, because of the product and because it's a sellout. This track is perfect for just one date a year. Not two. Let's not oversaturate it. Gateway's the perfect track for one date a year.
I'll raise the question that people had brought up last year. Now 2 races under the belt. One that a lot of people had fun with. One that was not. What are we thinking of the prospects that many brought up last year of a playoff race for Gateway? Because a lot of people brought that up last year.
Yeah, I
what would it
myself.
What would it replace?
That's the question.
People are going to say Texas, but if Texas only has one date a year, you can't run that in the summer. You got to run that at the end or the beginning of the year.
Maybe, but Kansas has always been there, and they have the contract. I'm just saying, a lot of people brought that up last year, and I know it sounds dumb now, but
smarter. I think something that could, I like it in the playoffs, but also it could be fine as like a night summer race. Bristol night race could be in the summertime in exchange. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah, real quick, Jared, I have to ask, did you enjoy Illinois 300?
I enjoyed being in the racetrack. I did not. I do not enjoy that state. But I will say I did enjoy going out during the lightning delay and seeing. I want to bring this up because I know no one else will bring it up because I was the only one that saw it. During the lightning delay, they had a football. They're throwing that around. That was the fun part. The real fun part though was in turn 2, they would start the wave and it would get to the front stretch over at 1. And by the time it got close to the start finish line, it would stop. And it got to the point where the people starting the wave and continuing it, whenever it would stop, would start booing the other side of the stands. And it was awesome because there was so much energy back and forth. And you have all these people in the fan zone in the infield looking up at it. And we're just laughing our asses off because it's funny as how Denny Hamlin was. I saw Kyle Busch was laughing at it. I think Noah was going to go out with a football or go out or something, but an official came over, I think because it was a lightning delay and forced them not to go out. But that energy was
technically that would look bad on NASCAR's part because they're technically supposed to be hiding in that sense.
Yeah.
Midwesterners.
You sure you didn't? You sure you didn't have some lady from the AP come out and take a pictures and say, "Look at the crowd"?
No. To be fair, though, the crowd in the rain delay honestly looked pretty damn. It was like 80% of the people just stayed in the stands. They did not give a damn.
Dan, Danny.
I see. So she didn't get an opportunity.
Would have looked a lot better than Nashville Super Speedway.
Yeah, but hey, they're loyal.
I appreciate
man. The fans
that.
are loyal. Yeah.
That was a good savage response there, Danny. But let's get to the race itself. Kyle Busch holds on. I don't know how many. I think it was 5 or 6 restarts at the end. He was impressive on the 6th to last restart. I did the math. I was counting it up during my post-race recap. When he was 4th and he rode that outside lane, pushed Larson clear to the lead, and then rode that momentum to pass Larson himself. That was vintage Kyle Busch making up positions on a restart. Then he played defense the rest of the way. Kyle Busch, 3rd win of the season, matches William Byron. They are tied for the series lead. But while Byron has been fast almost every week, Kyle Busch has been a little more up and down. So I want to pose a couple of different questions to both you guys and also to the chat. First question, and I'll jump to you with this, Jarrett. How many wins does Kyle Busch finish with this year? I know you and I were really high on him at the beginning of the year. Are we still riding that? And secondly, will Kyle Busch make the championship 4? Are you ready to call him a championship threat?
All right, I'll start with the easier one with the wins. Before the season, I remember a lot of people in the chat clowned me for my prediction because I was very high on Kyle Busch. And I said Kyle Busch will win 6 or more races this year. And I am standing by it. I am standing by 3 wins and 15 starts so far. The team has now found speed in this race, which is a very important race because everyone talked about how this race was the most similar to Phoenix. And we saw it play out that way last year with Joey Logano winning this race over Kyle Busch and then going on to Phoenix. So I'm going to say this. I think he gets 6 or more wins. I'm going to say at 6. That was really the number I was coming up with. So I'll stay at 6. As for championship 4, Martinsville worries me. It does. But I think, it's been proven in the past with this system that if you build up those playoff points, which that top 10 is very close right now. So there's a big swing that could happen. You could be 7th in points one week and lead the points the next. So if he leaves Daytona the top 3 or so, which I think he easily could, I'd say he's a championship 4 favorite with the wins. Nobody else but Byron has this many wins. Start winning some stages too, which I think he'll be able to because his team's starting to click a little bit. I think that he should be able to get in the Final 4, and if he does, I think he'll be the absolute favorite because he proved it with how dominant he was in this race. The only other one that honestly could stay with him was Ryan Blaney, which is just like the championship last year.
Interesting. Yeah, and you're right. Kyle Busch is starting to get things to click. 7th at Darlington, 6th at Charlotte. Obviously won this weekend at Gateway. Danny, how many wins do you think Kyle Busch finishes with this season?
I'm way already wrong because earlier this year I said 1, and that's definitely not true. But I would say now, seeing how they're functioning, I'm going to guess 5. 5 is my pick. As far as what he wins from here out, I don't know. But is he a championship 4? I just don't know mainly because we do see some weeks where he's not even anywhere close to contending. Some weeks he's right up there. It could be something. Think back to his first year with RCR, or sorry, his first year with Joe Gibbs Racing. Oh, wait, he won how many races he won that year? Granted, the playoff system was way different back then. He won 8 races with them, and he wasn't even close to contending for a championship at the end of that year. So,
Good point.
we could see a good run early on, and it might mean nothing in the end. Kevin Harvick 2020 comes to mind. So,
One thing I like about Busch this year is his wins have come at very different tracks. He won at an intermediate auto club, a super speedway, Talladega, and now kind of almost like a short track. I don't know what we'd call Gateway.
It races like a short track.
Yeah. Darian, what number are you putting on Kyle Busch this year?
I believe I picked exactly 3 wins before the season started. And if the chat wants to correct me on that, they can, but I'm pretty sure it's 3. So, we've already reached, 3 already. So, on paper, it's supposed to win more, right? I'm going to say no. It stops right here. Now, hear me out. Hold on. Hear me out.
No, I'm glad somebody went
Go back to his last championship season, 2019. I believe he had a total of either 4 or 5 wins, but 5. But 4 of those wins came very early in the season and then ended up winning the championship race. So it's been proven before, even in a championship season, that he can win early on in the year, but then, obviously he'll remain consistent, but, doesn't win a whole lot and stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't win the rest of the season, but I could still see him making the championship 4 race off of consistency alone, because as you just said, he's starting to pick it back up. And we've seen the playoffs. The playoffs are not really easy to predict anyways and stuff. It feels like entering the playoffs like, oh, you have to win, this many races here and there and stuff. But then in reality, sometimes it's just based off of points here and there. So I could see Kyle Busch just, pointing his way in to the championship 4. That's how good he is. And that's how good that team is.
I'll raise one more. Who gets more wins this year, Kyle Busch or Joe Gibbs Racing? They're both tied right now.
I could see Joe Gibbs Racing getting one more.
I give the nod to JGR because I feel like the other guys can still win multiple, and even Ty Gibbs gets a win.
See, I feel like Gibbs is going to get that win at some point. I mean, I feel like when you're up front top 10, you can at least get a strategy win like that. I feel like Bell is on the verge at some point of having that breakthrough where he gets a couple. And then you got Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr.
Let's see, the run we're about to go down, honestly, I think plays really good for someone like Christopher Bell, because we're about to have, he might do okay at Sonoma, but Nashville, he could do good there. Who knows about Chicago, Atlanta, and then we can win there. New Hampshire, honestly, might as well be a lock for him at this point.
Yeah.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
All right, knock on wood.
But it looks like the chat says, 5 wins for Kyle Busch.
Yeah, I asked the chat, how many wins does Kyle Busch get this year? And nearly half of y'all picked 5. 22% though said 6 or more. 20% said 4 wins, and then 7% agree with you, Darian, say he's done. He's done right here, right now.
Ye of little faith.
or maybe they thought they meant 3 more.
Yeah, we'll
yeah, 3 on top of this.
We'll see.
I want to highlight a few other drivers who I think had very notable performances. Namely, I want to shout out Kyle Larson and Michael McDowell. First off, Larson, because he fired off terribly, he was back there running outside the top 30 in stage 1, but battled back, played some tire strategy here and there. Ultimately, he was on 2 tires trying to beat Kyle Busch those last few restarts. And he didn't beat Kyle Busch, but he still held on to a very solid top 5 finish. So I want to give Larson some credit. And Michael McDowell real quick, and you can chime on this if you want, Jarrett, but Michael McDowell also was on 2 tires, didn't have that clean air or that track position Larson had, yet still held on for a top 10, finished 9th. I also want to mention Ross Chastain real quick because he finished 22nd. I think this is his 2nd week in a row finishing outside the top 20. He was also really a non-factor at North Wilkesboro for the All-Star race. 3 races since Justin Marks and Chevrolet had a little talk with Ross, and 3 races in a row, Chastain has not looked like himself. Darian,
hey, what I say?
Something wrong with him.
What did I say? I made the.
Remind me. What did you say?
So I made the point.
What did you say?
I made the point. I made the point after that I was a little concerned because I'm like, okay, well, he's been driving like this his whole life, right? So now all of a sudden he's getting a talking to. Is that going to have some sort of effect from here on out? I mean, look, it's only been 3 weeks. This might just be a slump, But if this continues, I mean, I would have to go back to that talking to as maybe the beginning of it all. But we'll see. It's only 3 weeks though.
I don't think it's a slump, because I pulled up his season so far, and Chastain this season is streaky. First 2 weeks, top 10s. 3 straight weeks, outside the top 10. 2 weeks, top 5. 3 straight weeks, outside the top 10. 2 more top 5s. Now we're in the midst of 3 more weeks outside the top 20. Maybe Chastain is just as volatile when it comes to his finishes as he is with his driving style. I mean, you're seeing it, whether he's slow or he gets crashed or whatever. He's up and down, up and down, up and down. It's like a roller coaster.
I just want to mention, since Darlington, Chastain has gone from leading the points to he's now 5th in the regular season standings. But that being said, he still leads the Cup Series with 5 stage wins. So playoff points wise, he's still looking okay. Hasn't won a race in over a year. I mean, Danny, do you think Justin Marks, Chevy, do you think they're talking to with him actually had an impact? Do you think his driving style has changed maybe for the worse?
No, I don't think it's really had an impact on him. Truth be told, I don't even know if he really had that much of a talk with him. I feel like maybe he just said that just to get the media off his back a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
Honestly, when I heard that, I thought he's just saying it. So I don't even know if it actually happened.
It could be. I'm sure there was I'm sure they had a conversation. How serious was it?
He might have just said like, "Hey, man, we can't have all these memes every week. Just
no more. Lower the memes. Oh my god.
Yeah, it'll be something interesting to watch. I also want to give a shout out to Daniel Suarez. Usually, at least last year or two, he's kind of been in Chastain's shadow, but this week, Daniel Suarez ran top 10, top 5 almost all day. Want to give him some props for that. Let's talk about the incident between the Austins, Austin Dillon and Austin Cindric. On track, Cindric in the middle of 3 wide appeared to kind of turn left. Austin Dillon also came up. He was on the inside. They made contact, hooked Austin Dillon up into the wall and into Ricky Stenhouse Jr., unfortunately, who looked to have another top 10 or top 15 run going. Austin Dillon gets out of the car and immediately says it was on purpose. Cindric should be suspended. Richard Childress echoed those comments saying, yep, Cindric wrecked him on purpose. Since then, Austin Cindric has revealed the SMT data and sort of recreation. And again, you can see Dillon comes up, Cindric comes down a little bit. Sure, he says he was trying to, take some of Austin Dillon's air away. They wanted to enter the corner in such a way that he could be tight on Austin Dillon's door. It looked to me like a racing deal. That's what Austin Cindric said it was. I think that's what most fans believe it is at this point. NASCAR also agrees. They looked into it, but then decided not to penalize Austin Dillon. Looking at the chat, looking at everything I've seen in my comments and social media this week, I think most folks agree that was the right call. But I guess I want to start with you on this, Darian. Do you believe it was right not to penalize Cindric? How, I guess, where do we go from here? Are we just gonna have drivers, calling for suspensions anytime big crashes happen?
Yeah. Well, first off, speaking of memes, we have 669 people watching. Nice. Make sure to click the like button, and also really close to 69,000 subs. So help me get there, y'all. Just a little shameless plug there. But anyways, to the main point. Yeah, I don't know. Austin Dillon, it felt like it was very emotional and stuff. I mean, right from his exit interview. Then you have Richard Childress going on the podium in the media center saying, oh yeah, that was clear, intentional wrecking and stuff. And then once he was going off about that, I was like, oh God, does he know something we don't? Stuff. But then, as the data came out, it was pretty clear Austin Cindric didn't wreck him on purpose. But what was funny about that was they showed 2 totally different angles, and it was they were so different looking. One angle, it looked like Cindric turned him on purpose, and then the other, Dillon
That's
clearly
true.
turned himself. So I think that had a lot to do with it. But I want to say the question one more time. What was the next question?
I didn't really have a good question because I asked the chat, was NASCAR right to not penalize Cindric?
Okay.
Overwhelmingly, they say yes, this is the right call.
Yeah.
I guess the question is just I don't know, how do we...
Hard to
Do you
penalize
like the way
when he
these-
did nothing wrong.
Well,
do you like
so
the
how
way
do you
these incidents are
police?
officiated? Or yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I it's fair. I mean, you just gotta, play it, case by case. Obviously, I mean, the Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin fiasco was clearly intentional, and there was data to back it up. And NASCAR saw that, and they rightfully suspended him. So I think, I think, yeah. I mean, if there is a sort of if there's a some type of right hooking incident, on these types of tracks, or really any track for that matter. I mean, yeah, NASCAR should really look into that. I mean, like, that type of stuff is so Busch League, and it should be so beneath, these NASCAR drivers. You're at the highest level, stop right hooking, y'all. Come on. But I think NASCAR, they made the right call.
I'm glad they looked into it for sure. No issue with them taking it seriously, but I do think in this case it seems like they made the right call. What do you think, Jarrett?
I mean, yeah, we had talked about it. Darren and I did after the race on a stream, like right after we had really seen anything. We really didn't see too much in the media center, and it was pretty much the same thing. If the SMT data said he did anything that people didn't see, then sure. If he said something, if they talked to him, whatever. But there really was nothing to go off of. Richard Childress and Austin Dillon seemed pretty convinced though, because Darian and I were right behind the camera filming Childress when he said that. We're like,
whoa,
what?
like it was out of nowhere. It was so blunt.
Yeah. So I personally think NASCAR made the right decision. I know it doesn't make an entertaining debate by any means, with I think all of us agreeing on this, but there's some things that you just have to agree on. I think when it comes to officiating for these kind of deals, I feel like NASCAR, and I think there's pros and cons to it, has put themselves in a bit of a box, because you can now go back and see other incidents of right hooking that have had lesser penalties that are definitely intentional, and other ones that aren't. And I think that NASCAR now is getting kind of screwed by the bad officiating of NASCAR in the past, because NASCAR fans, they'll drag something up from like 1987 to prove their point. So yeah. I think it's the right call to at least review it. I just hope that every week that some kind of incident happens, we're not going to have to pull out the data every time and make a big hubbub about it.
It's just unfortunate in this case. It was so fresh in everyone's mind, and in the moment, I can see why Dylan was so upset. But then, to me, when I watched it over and over, and I saw all the angles of it, I didn't actually see the two turn left until he had already made contact with the three. And I think at that point, he's just trying to gather his own car up, because they've just made contact on the track. That's what I saw. And everyone's like, well, how do you explain the 47 and him drifting apart? Easy. 47 drifted closer to the wall. That's what happened there. The 2 is going in his lane. He's getting ready to go into the turn. The 3, he just cleared himself. That's all I saw in this one. That's all that I saw it as. I think NASCAR made the right decision here. And if I'm RC, I'd be worried more about why is one of my cars dominating the race, and why is the other one running mid-pack and getting in trouble back there.
Are you sure that Keselowski didn't get into the back of one of them?
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? It's funny you bring that up. I just pulled up the consistent point standings. Right now, Austin Dillon sits 29th in points, right behind not only Harrison Burton, but
the penalty
Chase Elliott. Oh, yeah. He had the penalty too. But still, yeah, I mean, he's so low in the points compared to his teammate, though.
Yeah. But to your point, though.
24th.
Yeah.
To your point, though, Danny, it was unclear even who was at fault for the wreck. Like, you could make an argument either way. And so for that reason alone, I don't think you can issue a suspension. Certainly not. You need to be 100% certain who was at fault and that it was on purpose. There was no chance they were proving that, either of those in this case. But sucks, though, for Dylan. Sucks, though, for especially Ricky Stenhouse, innocent bystander.
It was just a lot different in the Chase Elliott incident. When the Chase Elliott incident happened, you saw him actually turn left and go into him.
And the SMT data showed also in the Cindric deal, like for sure, it showed him lifting right before the impact or the contact.
Yeah,
he
had no intention to do that.
Yeah, I don't think he was intentionally trying to drive in his right rear. Let's talk about what I called the B plot, like the subplot to this race. So coming in, plot A is who's going to win, who's running up front, who are the leaders, who's in contention. That's the most important part. But the B plot coming in was Corey LaJoie getting potentially the opportunity of a lifetime to fill in for Chase Elliott, drive for Hendrick Motorsports, and Carson Hocevar, friend of the show, 20 years old, makes his Cup Series debut for Spire on short notice. Neither got the results I think they were hoping for. Carson Hocevar, blew a brake rotor before halfway, wrecked out. Corey LaJoie, really, I don't think he ever cracked the top 20. At best, he was running, I think, 21st, which is where he finished. So kind of a disappointing day for both. But before Hocevar had his brake trouble, he did, I think Danny mentioned this earlier, maybe Jarrett mentioned this earlier, he did drive from 35th up to 16th, but again, before halfway. So I guess I want to ask, and I'll start with you first on this, Jarrett. Was Carson Hocevar's run more impressive, or was Corey LaJoie's run more disappointing?
Man, see, it's hard with this kind of question because I think straight up, I mean, everyone that was watching the race, like that had any, importance to say who was doing well, was praising Hocevar on how he was running. I saw Junior doing it. I saw a couple of broadcasters. So I would be inclined to say Hocevar off that. But with LaJoie, and I love the shifting goalposts everyone has done all week with LaJoie's run. I don't think that necessarily this is the end of the world for LaJoie, but for people to say this wasn't a disappointment is so dumb, in my opinion. It's such a just amateur take as a fan to look at. When we were on this show last week and we asked, what is the expectation for Corey LaJoie in this race? It was top 10, maybe top 15. At one point, he was running slower than the Spire cars, one of which he drives. He was running slower than Rick Ware cars off of speed. He was racing with the 15 and the 78. No disrespect.
I also
to
want
them.
to mention, he got into the wall slightly during qualifying, and he also accidentally hit the kill switch on the initial start when trying to shift into gear. So he made some maybe pressure getting to him kind of mistakes as well.
It's hard to say what for me that anything was more of a heightened emotion when it comes to either being as impressive as Hocevar or anything else. I personally think that LaJoie was more disappointing because, I mean, for years he's talked about different things and of a smaller team and stacking pennies, and if he had the opportunity in a bigger car, he could run with those guys. Well, he had his opportunity, and the only reason he finished 21st was because of attrition, because there were 8 cars that were out of the race, almost all of which were running ahead of him. Before most of those cars were out, he was between 25th and 29th. I like Corey. I think he's a great personality. I think if he had another chance, he probably would do better. But not every driver is afforded multiple chances at a top ride. Though the way Hendrick drivers are dropping like flies this year, he might be.
What do you think, Darian?
I'll go the opposite here. I mean, I think Hocevar's run was extremely impressive. I mean, first off, he hasn't even ran in 5 Xfinity Series races yet. I think he's only ran in 2, or 3. And is showed out in 2 of them on ovals. But in that Spire car, man, first off, he qualifies ahead of Corey LaJoie by a couple of spots. That has to do a lot for your confidence, right? And then all of a sudden, in the race, he's just, learning the car, how it runs, long term and stuff. And then we have the rain, and then we have the lightning delay. And then once we get back going and stuff, he just kept, on a track that's really hard to pass on. He just kept passing and passing and passing. I mean, one point passes Larson before he got his car together, and then, passing some other young drivers like a Harrison Burton, who's been in the Cup Series for a little bit now. And then, passing, some pretty marquee teams there, able to get, I think the highest was either 16th or 15th.
16th.
So, okay. So 16th place, damn near in the top 15 in his Cup Series debut, in a last-minute debut, by the way. He got the word last second that, hey, you're going to be driving the 7. So, I mean, before that brake rotor issue, I mean, just that first stage run alone was extremely impressive to me. And, I'm not gonna say, put him full time in the Cup Series yet, but from what I've seen so far, he's really shown me a lot. He's shown, the fan base a lot, these past couple of weeks, because there's a point where you were like, damn, what direction is he going? He's doing all this BS in the Truck Series, but then, you put him in Xfinity and Cup, and he's fine. He's perfectly fine. He races clean. He races fair. Everybody hard. So to me, it might just be a Truck Series issue where, might be having to, go down to the gutters and stuff and kind of doing that stuff. I don't know. It's because apparently nobody races with respect in the Truck Series. I mean, and that's not just according to me. That's according to a lot of the Truck Series field. So in conclusion, Carson Hocevar's Cup Series run, extremely impressive, and I cannot wait for his future.
Yeah, with Carson, unless he's offered a Junior Motorsports Xfinity ride next year, if I'm Spire, I got to be thinking that Ty Dillon has had his last final chance at this point. He sat out basically for a year, and then he got another chance with Petty GMS, now Legacy. His only saving grace for Ty Dillon is that he's only 11 points behind his old ride at this point, which is kind of interesting. But for Ty Dillon, I would say he's a one and done deal in this car, and I would potentially look at Carson Hocevar to take over to 77 even, unless he gets an opportunity at like a good Xfinity ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Dale Jr. tweet, I think, got a lot of folks' attention. Could Hocevar be a contender for the 8 car if, assuming Josh Berry leaves for Cup? I think that's possible. I looked at Hocevar's run and said it was very impressive that he drove up to 16th, but he also blew his brakes out faster than anybody else. And the team did communicate with them that, hey, yeah, you were pushing a little harder than everybody else. Not outrageous, that's what they said at least, but you were pushing a little harder. So I was impressed, but I do think maybe his run was somewhat inflated because the more veteran drivers knew not to push that hard that early, and Hocevar didn't. So I was impressed by Hocevar, but I think you definitely have to say LaJoie's day was more of a disappointment. That being said, Gateway is arguably Hendrick's worst track on the schedule. They weren't very good here last year, and they really weren't that good, at least at first, this year. Short notice, new team. Also, midway through the race, right when you're hoping to make some changes, make some improvements, all the SMT data at the track, all your Wi-Fi goes down. So now you're flying blind, even more blind than you were to begin with. So, on the surface, this looked like a beautiful, amazing opportunity for LaJoie. Underneath, I think it was certainly more difficult than most of us realized. So I don't know if I would say his was probably still a little more disappointing than Hocevar's was impressive, but it's close.
I have a question for you, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
Is Hocevar, is he the first former Double E Cup Series driver to make it to Cup?
He might be.
So. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
that's great. Congratulations. It's not very often I feel old, but that does make me feel old. At the same time, flattered though. I saw some folks in the chat were mentioning that earlier. I wonder if Carson still remembers that. He probably does.
Oh, he does.
I don't know if he likes us bringing it up.
No, I remember seeing a post from Paul Foddy. He posted onto his Facebook. He was Lego NASCAR 88 fan, big in the stop motion days back when you guys were all doing it. Yeah. And Carson was also in some of his stuff too. And he posted, he took a picture of him and said it was surreal that one of his old stop motion drivers was awesome. Racing in Cup. And they apparently, they did talk about it for a little bit. So he does remember that stuff.
That's funny. Cool. Carson needs to run I think he signed up for one of Carl Edwards in one of those seasons.
I think it was the Fastenal car.
Yeah, so he needs to run a Fastenal throwback, but it's actually a stop motion
maybe Brad can just hire him for a third car, and there
we go. I like it.
True that.
Yeah, either way, I hope Corey LaJoie gets another opportunity. He's done enough this year in the 7 that proves to me he can race. He's better than 25th place. I think we know that, but just wasn't what he was hoping for. That's for sure. Real quick, before we get into ratings and then get into the famous iceberg poll, I wanted to ask you guys, because there were the power outages, the broadcast delays and issues, the internet problems. That doesn't, it sounds like that happened off site. That wasn't something that happened at the racetrack per se, but it's not the first time Gateway has had technical issues. They've had power outages in recent years. They've had internet and broadcast trouble. So I kind of want to ask the two guys who were there in person, like, what can Gateway improve, assuming they continue to host Cup races?
Can I add in to support him? I just want to say, even though I wasn't there this year, the first year I was there for the first Cup race, and out of all the tracks that I've worked at, that was the worst internet experience I'd ever had at a race, which was really surprising considering the name is Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Yeah,
dang.
Because I was literally getting download and upload speeds of anywhere between 1 to 3 megabytes per second.
So funny enough, before we get into it, I'll add this. When everything went down and then got rebooted back up, the upload and download speed actually improved immensely. I think they just needed to reset the router.
Yeah,
I swear that might have been all it was. That's the problem, is I don't know what exactly they would do. I mean, I guess an idea would be maybe Verizon one day could follow through with the damn plan they said of putting 5G at every racetrack.
No.
Yeah. Where is that, by the way? I
feel like that was just a thing. They did it for one track, Daytona, because it's actually pretty decent there.
Well, I'd like to know because they did pledge to all of it, and NASCAR pledged to it too, and so that would be a start. But I don't really know because what do you really do to fix your internet? I mean, just turn it on and turn it off and turn it on again. Like
I just wonder,
works.
like if they're this place hadn't hosted a cup date before until last year. They've had these electrical issues, let's just say. Like, is there anything else about the facility that seems outdated that it needs to be renovated?
No, everything seemed up to date to me. I mean, like they just got on the Cup Series schedule, so you have to be up to a certain standard, don't you?
I guess, yeah.
So, it didn't. It looked good to me.
What I did see there last year, they had a pretty nice fan experience where basically you got in one time and everything was right there, all the food trucks, everything, and you just kind of go into your seat at that point, kind of like it was at Homestead Miami when I went there. So I did kind of like that setup as far as like a fan experience goes. It was pretty nice the way they had it set up there.
And speaking of some of the, they had some awesome snacks, a lot of ice cream too, a lot of ice cream over the weekend. So that was they were just serving stuff.
I think the problem is that all of the stuff that is a problem with it is stuff you can't physically see. Like, yes, you can see the internet not working on your computer, or you can see, the please stand by sign or whatever they put on Fox. I don't know what they did because it was out for us. But I think that's the big issue. I will say I laughed at people saying maybe they should have used Xfinity. It's like, yeah, no, that would
no. And the funniest part to me was they said, "Oh, we're on AT&T fiber." I'm like, dude, I love AT&T fiber.
You are not on AT&T fiber.
I'm like, what type
someone snipped the fiber?
Now, what I was thinking was, okay, maybe there's I know for a fact there's different plans. Did they pick the cheapest plan? Maybe that's what I did.
All I know is Xfinity.
You're on regular AT&T or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Xfinity being a premier partner needed to jump on that and say, well, this should have gone with us. I'm just saying, there's a can't miss marketing opportunity.
But we know the
NASCAR,
we know the truth.
NASCAR marketing since 2005 in a nutshell, completely blow the greatest opportunities you get.
I'm not trying to dog NASCAR's partner too much here, but there's a reason that pretty much all of this podcast is using fiber and not the partner.
Yep.
I just say maybe that if they're able to work with SMI or ISC, see what they're doing. They don't have these problems. They don't have them consistently.
That's true. I forgot Gateway is independently owned, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So they don't belong to SMI or ISC. So
yeah, somehow I kind of just forgot about that. Interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, they if they want to stay around long term, they especially need to have all the broadcasts working, because I know at different points, like even people at MRN didn't even know if they were live. They just kept rolling.
Yeah.
They are so independent. I'm not trying to be weird or not, but I keep a collection of like all my credentials back there. They were the only track last year that I didn't get like the NASCAR Essential Pass or whatever.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was just a thing sent to me from the track that had a painting that was made for the race. So it just said media on it. That's all it was. It was sent to me from the track. It's kind of weird.
Yep.
That was the only track that I got just like an old school credential.
Very old school.
I don't mind all that stuff. I just want to know, like, worldwide technology, fix your technology. That's all. Like that's my only issue.
What do you even do?
Yeah, I don't.
It's just weird. It's weird how this race is like the one. It's like we do what we want.
Yeah, but I see Eric in the chat mentioned IndyCar is racing there on August 27th. Yes, I will be out there for that. Well, I'll try to be. Hopefully, we'll see.
Nice.
But yeah.
Well, real quick, let's talk about the TV ratings. We're going to notice a trend with these numbers. 2.16 million viewers tuned into FS1 for this race. It's a 1.27 rating. Both the viewership and the rating are down 14% compared to this race last year. There's a number of factors in play here. Like a near 2-hour red flag right at the start, that's going to hurt average viewership. TV cutting out briefly midway through. They had to go to the booth where I don't know, they all sounded like just completely caught off guard. Definitely those had an effect, but also Chase Elliott was out, and the 14% decrease is pretty well in line with the decreases we saw when Chase Elliott was out due to injury earlier this year. So I don't know. Maybe can we finally confirm that, yeah, there are 200,000-300,000 fans out there who won't watch if Chase Elliott isn't racing.
So they're not actually NASCAR fans.
Yeah, so I was about to say. I was just about to say.
I'll say
those are
at points. I was a Dale Jr. fan, not a NASCAR fan. It's not too much a knock on you. It's just one of those. I'll watch NASCAR, all the time. It's like, oh, Chase is out. What's still going on with the baseball game?
Hey, that's how I was as a kid. I mean, I'll
Yeah,
be honest. I was way more of a Matt Kenseth fan than a NASCAR fan for a long time. Like if Kenseth blew an engine on lap 30, I tuned out.
Us
all the
junior
time.
fans from '09 to 2012, we were forced to be NASCAR fans.
Yeah. We kind of had to because it was just he was so out of it early, so we were like, let's just watch the rest of the race, see what
I
happens.
get it.
This
Yeah,
is what the
I just
rest
think
of
it's
the field
interesting. We'll
looks-
just it's just funny because earlier this year, there's always been like another reason potentially as to why the ratings are down. This time it's well, there was a red flag. It's like so we can't confirm if the Chase Elliott effect is real, but boy, it seems kind of real.
I mean,
good.
I mean, we've seen it on here, and I know it's not a 1-to-1 comparison, but like if this stream goes down and we have to restart the stream after even 5 minutes, we'll lose 20% of our viewers. They just won't come back. Like that's
true.
how it's been. If we are delayed at the start, it might not be as much of an issue if it's 10 minutes compared to 2 hours.
Yeah.
You have a 6-hour broadcast that was supposed to fit in a 3.5-hour broadcast window. So I'm not saying that the Chase Elliott stuff didn't have as much of an effect. I'm just saying that you remember the start of the year when Chase raced, they were still down. It just wasn't the full 14, 15%.
Yeah.
I think and plus I think you also have to take the new track not being a new track tax off now.
That's true. That's a good point.
The novelty's worn off a bit.
A little bit. That's true. Yeah, well, it's interesting. I'm hoping Chase Elliott will be back this week. I hope the ratings are a little higher. I also wonder if we'll get a TV commercial. It'd be a little awkward this time.
Hey, where's the Chase Elliott is back commercials?
Maybe I'll make a Chase Elliott is back one, but it'll just be all of his incidents when they say he does what he does best.
They did put out like a tweet kind of about him basically saying like, we need to win.
Yeah, no, a tweet that doesn't shock me, I guess. But on that note, we've been keeping close tabs on the chat tonight. But Jarrett, I guess I should say Darian, what time is it now?
And it's time for the poll, the famous iceberg poll on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast.
Well, I like that you guys can now see the numbers too. So 17% said this was a great race. 54 said good. So 71% were in the positive on this one, 21% average. 5 below and 3 bad, so 8% net negative.
That's a pretty positive score.
3% for turn number 3 Austin Dillon fans.
All right, so positive, negative, or meme. Spencer had the first comment.
Meme. Yeah,
I think it'll be positive. I think he'll surprise us this week.
This comment is experiencing some technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Yeah, there you go.
Come on, Eric. It's Spencer. He had that ready to go,
bro.
I thought last week Spencer actually had a positive, genuine comment.
Wasn't it like a combined positive / meme?
I feel like he has a meme ready to copy, and he might even edit it if it needs to be edited.
Yeah. Thank you, Spencer.
Yeah, probably.
Well, looking at, I'm actually just getting all the comments loaded now, so I don't have to forever wait to get to the gutter. But looking at the comments section right now, there were a good amount of them. First one from Power of the Poof, who said the last 40 laps of that race were like running slow motion in a dream. You can see the end, but you just can't quite get there.
Yeah,
that's a very vivid comparison.
That's a good one. That's a good one. It's one of the best ones I've heard. Yeah, he's right.
Denny Deliver says we must take a moment to blame Darian. His presence at the track not only took out Reddick and Hocevar, it also took out the entire power at the track.
Yeah, I did tweet out some pictures of Hocevar. Who was it? Hocevar, Logano, Reddick, and LaJoy.
Yeah.
So basically what happened was Darian was in the media center, and he took my computer and he dragged it to the recycle bin, and that's what happened.
I guess.
Let's see here. Craig Stevenson says, that was a great race. I feel like it had a good amount of being hard to pass while still having good hard racing. Don't know what's up with the brake rotor.
Yeah, I mean, because we have 4 blowouts. So.
And this race had 1 or 2 of them last year as well. I think it's definitely just a unique to Gateway thing. But maybe going forward, they could make some tweaks for this track. I don't know.
Yeah.
Dylan Lawson says, being there at the track made this one fun to watch. Lots of great battles on track.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got here. I am 6. The Kyle Busch 8 says, I think it's safe to say Kyle Busch is back. If he wasn't a championship favorite already, he definitely is now.
Yeah.
NASCAR Shill says, Thank you, Steve Phelps, Steve O'Donnell, and Ben Kennedy. What a great race.
Of course.
Or for the course.
Let's get into the middle ground here. Andrew says package needs some fixing, and the race took forever, but dear God, it was fun. I started work at 2:15. Pre-race was on. I got home at 9. The race was still going.
Yeah. See, yeah, me and Jerry didn't expect the race to go on too long. Otherwise, we had some plans.
Weird,
it was taking so long to get going that I hooked the boat up and I went fishing and I watched the end of the race on the boat.
Yeah.
SMCS Racing Network says this race needs a new category. Cursed.
Felt cursed at times. Definitely.
I give that to the Indy Road Course.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
And then let's get back down to the gutter. Let's see. I think I can read them. I'll read the last. J.R. Smith says bad race.
The J.R. Smith?
Oh, yeah, totally.
J.R. Smith.
Let's see. All right. Tanner says, I enjoyed it until it started getting stupid. Gray and Bubba breaking their cars I can understand, but when you had Austin and Ricky crashing and Bell getting spun, it got tedious.
Okay.
Yeah.
At least he listed his reasons, unlike a lot of other comments.
That's
that was
fair.
And then I love when fans go overboard. David here says Ford and Toyota are in trouble. How about that, trash car? Just park all the Ford teams and let the clown show continue.
What? What?
Huh.
Hey, at least there's still manufacturer loyalty there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. That's nice to see, I think.
I think somebody's mad that his old freaking old rebuilt Dodges weren't up front this week.
Yeah.
Those damn Chevys always are getting favored.
All the time.
Except last year when Logano won.
Them treating Chevrolets.
Yes, it's the same old talking points. Yeah.
And that's it.
And that'll do it for another edition of the famous lightning round on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast.
Not the lightning round. The famous iceberg.
The famous iceberg poll.
It's all right.
NASCAR Weekly Podcast.
It's all right. In fitting theme,
is it bad?
Lightning up.
Is it bad I didn't bat an eye or anything?
Yeah. It took me a second. And I was like,
Jared had the lightning effect ready anyway, so he saved you. He bailed you out on that one.
That's right.
We're at the 1 hour mark. So I'm actually going to go and do our first Super Chat stage break, and then we'll touch on the Xfinity and truck races. So let's start with NASCAR's NASCAR Sun 2414. Beginning of the show said the Cindric call is correct. Track is not 1.5 miles. If suspension happened, I was about to call NASCAR. NASCAR attempts suspending cup drivers at racetrack at NASCA. It's an interesting acronym, but they agree with the no call in this case. Groovy Goose, NASCAR's next game should have the player be an official who does inspections and makes sure the cars are legal. I like that, like a little mini game. Antar Das sent 2 super chats. Get rid of Chicago, go to Montreal. Sonoma rotates with Laguna Seca, Test Out Road Atlanta, and Sebring. One race for all tracks except super speedways. That's an interesting idea. We are going to talk about the Montreal rumors later on in the show. But yeah, not a bad idea. I think all of us here have been pushing for them to go back to Montreal at some point, and we may get our wish. He also said that Le Mans is one of my favorite weekends of the year, not just the history, the track, but the sound of every engine going by, especially the Porsches. Sent a couple of like drooling face emojis. So yeah, Antar Das really into it this weekend. Kyle 3000 said SHR needs to get Ty Dillon. Having him on your team makes the other cars better. Look at Jones without him and LaJoy.
Oh my god.
That's an interesting, I guess, trend or coincidence. Dang. What it's not unintentional, but sort of an unintentional roast there. Isaac sent 5 with NASCAR racing at Le Mans this weekend. What are y'all's thoughts on the Le Mans movie, Ford versus Ferrari?
I love that movie.
I love it. Good movie.
Yeah, it's a movie. That's a movie every motorsports fan should see.
As Martin Scorsese would say, this is cinema. He didn't say that about Ford versus Ferrari, I don't think, but he would. I think he would agree. Yeah. Hunter Nixon Fishing, thanks for the 10. Never been the biggest fan of Gateway. It wouldn't hurt my feelings to see it off the schedule next year. Just me personally. Okay. Congrats to Rowdy Busch. I think it's tough to take. Well, I say this. It's tough to take a track that pulls in 60,000 fans off the schedule. And then I remember what they did in Road America. So, no, I guess nothing is off limits. Jimmy Leos sent 5. Hi guys, that was a great race on Sunday. Also, did you know that Connor Daly and Ed Carpenter Racing had agreed to part ways?
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising when you look at the stats on paper, but I mean, it's surprising that it took place this early in the year. So,
yeah. David Bell sent 5, wishing you four men the best. Always amazing content. Well, thank you.
thank you.
David
Thank
Bell.
you, sir.
Very
Thank you,
kind of you
David.
to say. Nicholas J. Hicks sent 5. Is there going to be an Austin versus Austin show? We talked about it briefly. I don't know. Are they going to like? This is the Austin Dillon's new reality show, Life.
I was gonna say, does he still have his reality show? Can we play this up to be something?
Life
If
in the
he's-
Octagon. I don't know.
Bro, if he still has that reality show, I wonder if they'll like play it up in the show. Like, oh, they were actually like running for like first or something like that. Or I don't know,
Oh,
just
God.
a lie. in the show.
I'm pretty sure it only made one season. They took it away.
Yeah,
well,
they're done.
Yeah.
30 seconds.
Few more right here. NASCAR Bluey Taco Box said, I think Kyle Busch should have been in the 3 car now that he's won 3 races at 3 different tracks and with 3 different sponsors. Whopper noises to JGR.
He basically did run the 3. That backup had a 3 on it.
That's right. Forgot about that. That was his Daytona car, right? Because he
Yep.
almost won the Daytona 500 in that car.
Mhm.
Antar Das, I want to see Garage 56 set new track records with it being 400 pounds lighter with carbon brakes and more aero on the car. Imagine the car with 950 horsepower. I think it's around 800. It's already like outpacing cars in its similar class. So
As God intended. By the way, that's 3.
okay, I'm going to do 2 more real quick. Beast of Metal 1989. So Austin Cindric didn't even get probation for doing to Austin Dillon what Chase did to Denny. Where's your precious consistency now? As
What?
Tim Cindric
Because he didn't wreck him.
Yeah,
As Tim Cindric strolls down pit road whistling to himself. I can't tell if
Someone's a
memeing
Chase
or-
fan.
I can't tell if Beast of Metal is memeing or if this is actually
No,
their-
he's
No,
memeing.
he's- I'm
memeing,
kidding.
it sounds like.
Gotta be.
Yeah, he's memeing.
Or he's a
He's
Chase
memeing.
fan.
or could be either one. But the Tim Cindric strolling
That's
down
fun.
pit road whistling to himself is an interesting
Oh, that's
visual. I
me.
like
Yeah,
that.
He's
that's
like
me,
walking
that's
like that.
Yes. And one final super chat, 8-bit Ghost Ripper Dragon. Do you think that Trackhouse is better set up to be the 2 seat at Chevy, or does RCR still hold that spot with an aging Kyle Busch now? Same question with RFK and SHR at Ford. I don't know about Ford. Right now, RFK looks like the best Ford team, at least consistently, but I think Penske and probably still SHR have more resources. But Chevy, I think RCR is probably still the 2 slot since ECR engines are their own thing. And I think Trackhouse, if I'm not mistaken, are they running Hendrick engines? So in a way, they're kind of like always going to be second fiddle to Hendrick,
Yeah.
technically. I don't really
But,
know.
but it's also interesting that Trackhouse has something that some teams don't have. They have their own working group of pit crew members that they lease out to other people. So that's an important thing.
That's a good point. Now, and I know RFK has that as well on the Ford side. So, it is interesting. One thing that Hamlin said on his podcast this week that I thought was kind of interesting was he said that from what he understands, Spire and JTG Doherty are on the same sort of like Chevy engine plan. They get the same amount of technical support. So they're clearly a lower tier. I wonder, like Hendrick, RCR Trackhouse, are they in the same tier, or is there a Hendrick tier and then like a secondary tier for like Trackhouse? I don't know.
By the way, this most recent super chat is worth rating now.
Beast of Metal clarified saying,
Yeah.
I'm saddened you'd think I'd meme out on safety.
Nah, no.
Wait. So it's not a
Wait.
meme then. So they're saying it's serious. That he's upset that Cindric didn't even get probation.
Okay.
Does NASCAR even do probation anymore? When was the last time a driver or anyone was put on probation?
Probably before nice little drive down Watkins Glen in 2018. That was a Brian France thing.
Oh yeah.
I'm not joking. That was a Brian France thing.
Mhm.
You might be right about
They don't
that,
really.
actually.
They never really have done that ever since Watkins
Yeah,
Glen.
I just
It was like, what was that doing? It's just like, you act nice, young man.
Yeah.
I think it just
Slap him on
meant
the
that
wrist.
like they'd be quicker on the trigger next time. Like say if Cindric was already on probation, they might have suspended him for this incident, even though it wasn't.
Mhm.
And this is what I'd say to Beast of Metal is that it was not clear. I think it's not even clear to any of us who was even at fault for the wreck. So how could you then also assume that Cindric did it blatantly on
Yeah.
purpose?
You gotta have
I-
proof.
I
man.
feel
You gotta have
like-
proof.
Yeah.
I want to say maybe when Bowman spun out Bubba as a Roval and Bubba threw water on him, they might have put both on probation for that. I don't know.
I haven't heard the P word in a while.
I feel like
been a
probation.
while.
I feel like what they do with probation, taking the hauler, and they go, by the way, Courtney Love knows where your hotel room is. You're on probation. It's enforced by her.
Oh,
That'll do it for our first super chat stage break. Really appreciate the support. We will get to the rest of the super chats at the end of the show. Real quick, let's touch on the Xfinity race. I want to give Stewart Haas Racing and Cole Custer some credit. We've been hard on both of them this year for good reason. But Cole Custer's been red hot lately. I was looking at his numbers. In those last 7 races, his average finish is like 3.5. And he just got his first win. Got a little lucky with it, sure, with Kligerman taking the leaders out. But Cole Custer gets the win. Congratulations to him. I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts? First win since 2019 in Xfinity. Not first.
He was
first win of the season. First time since 2019. He's looked like, he's starting to look like a championship contender again.
He was part of a hell of a battle during the race, like 5 different guys. It was like John Hunter, Cred, him, Jordan Taylor was up there, and I think Allgaier. So he was up front the whole race. It wasn't like it was a fluky win. Kept his nose mostly clean towards the end. So you got to praise him for it. If we're going to rip him, and we're going to rip anyone, SHR, all them, like you said, we got to stay a little consistent with it and also praise them when they do really well. And he did really dang well.
Yeah. No, it was cool to see him get a win. And I assume we all saw the Jeb Burton, Chandler Smith altercation on the track, on pit road, and then the social media response.
great job, Chandler Smith. He clearly won that one. That was, I mean, I don't know.
He won the social media battle.
Yeah, social media battle, of course.
I'm not sure there was really a winner in the on track or the pit road scuffle. It looked like just a lot of,
because freaking Jeb Burton was in a he was in a headlock or like a chokehold or something like that,
Yeah, that did happen. Yeah. He got to that point, yes.
Yeah.
I thought it was, I like Jeb Burton fine, Chandler Smith. I think both these guys just have those are 2 drivers that have a ton of confidence. But I didn't like Jeb Burton going to Twitter to be like, yeah, I clocked him. I got him good. He felt my fist. Ask his wife. She was crying because I hit him so hard. Like, that's what he tweeted.
Oh, what? I didn't see that part.
That's a little unnecessary.
Yeah, that's unnecessary.
I'm like, why are you like you let your actions speak for themselves. Don't tell me on Twitter that you're a tough guy.
But why are you bringing up the wife though? Come on now. Don't be doing
Because he's
that.
SOFT, soft.
Yeah.
And is it just me, or does he just seem kind of salty that he was let go by that team?
Maybe
it was interesting what did Chris Rice? There's a clip they showed where Chris Rice gets in Jeb Burton's face, and what did he say? He said something.
He said something along the lines of like, "Bro, like you did it basically. You
I think I heard him say you wreck people every week, or you run into people every week." Because in this case, to defend Jeb Burton, he did get dumped by Chandler Smith.
Yeah.
To defend Jeb Burton. I have every right. I think he had every right to go confront him and be upset. No problem with that whatsoever. It was the social media, the tweets that I thought were a little weird, which is why I thought Chandler's sort of retort was hilarious. I mean, you have a 19-year-old versus like a 32-year-old on Twitter. I think the 19-year-old's going to win every single time.
Of course.
Just saying.
Well deserved. Well deserved.
Some good drama though out of Portland.
Eric Murchesney said in the chat, Jeb would get clocked in the face by both Ross Chastain and Noah Gragson at the same time.
Jeez. Xfinity race at Portland. Seemed like another good event, another great race. I know it's a tough race logistically for the teams, but it's put on a good show the last 2 years, and the crowd seems to really turn out for it. So I hope that it continues in some capacity. Truck race, real quick. I did not see most of this race. I did see the end when my boy Ty Majeski, who was my pick, man, it looked like he was going for it. He had a shot and got up into Zane Smith, took both of them out, just overdrove it, got loose, whatever the case may be. Grant Enfinger wins though. Thoughts? Truck race.
No, Enfinger, he's looking like a championship contender with each passing race. And also, too, props to Ty Majeski for owning up to that mistake, because that was very uncharacteristic of him. He's not the type of driver that makes those types of mistakes like that. And then Zane Smith's comments were even more funny to me, because he's basically like, yeah, this is what I get for running in the truck series again. I'm like, everybody is just, they're getting on the truck series this year, man.
Can you blame them? This series went from having some of the best racing like 5 years ago to nowadays it's like, I would say it is like a trash can. All the trash goes there. Like, you have all of these rides because of how bad the money setup is for the teams, to where you have a bunch of people that are pay to play. You have a bunch of people then who might be better than what they're in, but they're stuck in that sludge of 8th to 28th. And then you got different people who are actually trying to run and well and up front. Like the truck series to me has went from one of the most enjoyable, like every week, one of, if not the most enjoyable race of the weekend, to a complete and utter slog to get through because of so many stupid things. And it's just going to get worse as the year goes on because it does it every year. And you're seeing it. More people will watch Xfinity races and Cup races. I know it's been inconsistent, but then the ratings have consistently been down for the truck series, like all year. And I hate it because the truck series has such an opportunity to be such a great series, and it's completely wasted.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the tough, rugged series. That's supposed to be its identity. Instead, it is turned into a lot of 20-year-olds driving in over their head. Who was it that just like dumped Haley Deegan in this race?
Nick Sanchez.
It was Nick Sanchez. That's right. And actually, I think Nick has talent. I think he's shown some great stuff this year. But like you get moments like that where even the best drivers in the series, like Nick Sanchez, just maybe it was retaliation for something, but like what was that?
Well, no, he apologized to Bob Pockers afterwards. He apologized.
Then it was that was a pretty bad mistake.
Are there like fumes that come out of the trucks that just make the drivers just go? Bzz?
I don't know, man.
I like the idea that Colby Howard had. He quote tweeted one of my tweets from earlier. He said they should just put all the truck guys on one channel, on one radio channel during the races and see what happens. Just let them talk to each other the entire race.
Oh boy, that'll be funny. That would be hilarious.
I think we need to have a betting pool on which thing would be said the worst to get them suspended because it would turn into a Call of Duty lobby.
Oh, it would just be COD lobbies. I would not want people to be listening in on that.
No.
Yeah, we'd have to close those channels off very quickly, very, very quickly. But that was the truck race. Yeah, Grant Enfinger, the veteran, making an early championship favorite case. But yeah, Gateway Portland, good stuff this weekend. Want to say real quick, think about everyone out in the Northeast, the weather, the smoke and haze from the fires up in Canada, seeing some of the photos, that's some just insane stuff. So I hope everyone's doing okay. The weather here on the NASCAR Weekly podcast, though, is very stormy. The wind is starting to shift back and forth. Darian, what time is it?
And it's time for the lightning round, the famous lightning round of the NASCAR Weekly podcast. Jarrett, what do we have on tap for today?
We got a little bit, and what's kind of crazy is we're talking about weather too, and I actually I took a last minute sneak peek of the weather for this weekend, and it's very interesting. I will put it in the itinerary and show you guys. But as for the lightning round, we got a couple things here: some sponsor stuff, some track stuff, some theft. So FedEx is close to striking an extension with JGR and Denny Hamlin for 2024, according to Adam Stern. No word on anything after 24, but for now there is extension talks, and they seem to be coming pretty close to an end. In a good way this time. Winston is going to reconnect with NASCAR with different upcoming activations at the track. This also from Adam Stern. This one I had sent to me by a friend in the Chicago area. But 2 motorized carts and some equipment that's being used to build the grandstands for the Chicago street race have been stolen. And that was on local Chicago news. So I'm not just going out there and finding this stuff. Like, it's out there. Andy Lally will be running 5 road course races for Rick Ware. He will be in the 15 for Sonoma, according to Bob Pockris. Amazon is also in talks of making a documentary on NASCAR's Garage 56 entry and how it does, everything about that. Very interesting.
Apparently they've been shooting on that. They've been shooting that for almost a year now. So it's going to be like a full immersive. They're covering all their bases.
I was going to say, they better be past just talks because like it's happening now. Better be under summer.
Let's be real. Amazon's going to be on this next deal. I think it's becoming increasingly clear. It's just the question is how much. And last but not least, we're going to end on a fun fact. So I've been rewatching the 2009 NASCAR season because I'm a masochist as a junior fan. But I saw that NASCAR Man had tweeted this, that on this day, 14 years ago, NASCAR debuted the double file shootout style restarts at Pocono. That's what they called it at the time. It was Bill Weber with his nasally ass voice going, before he got arrested in New Hampshire, going, NASCAR having double file shootout style restarts. And they said that, I swear, all through TNT's run and into the ESPN one. And then finally NASCAR's like, just call it double file restarts. Like, that's crap. But that happened 15 years ago today.
And now we have the
Interesting.
choose cone. Just added
Yeah.
elements. Restarts continue to change.
Double file
That's
choose
wild.
cone shootout style restart.
Restarts.
Presented by Credit One Bank.
And that would be the lightning round.
And that'll do it for this edition of the famous lightning round on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. And now back to the show.
Oh, we could make this a weekly segment at this point. But speaking of lightning round, another team was zapped by a massive penalty. This time it's Eric Jones, Legacy Motor Club, hit with an L1 penalty for illegally modifying the greenhouse area on the car. Same deal that Byron and Bowman got in trouble for a couple months ago. Don't know if they modified the exact same part, but it's the same region area of the car, likely looking for some sort of aero advantage. It's an L1 penalty, so Jones will lose 60 driver and owner points. Will also lose 5 driver owner playoff points should they make the playoffs. $75,000 fine. Dave Ellens, the crew chief, is out the next 2 weeks. As of this afternoon, at least, I haven't checked since the show started, but Legacy has not yet confirmed whether they will or will not appeal. I don't think Hendrick appealed the penalties, and so they just took it. I don't know what Legacy Motor Club will choose to do. This knocks Eric Jones back to 30th in points. Somehow, though, he's still 40 points ahead of his teammate, Noah Gragson. So I can see you shaking your head there, Darian. I think we're on the same wavelength here. Legacy Motor Club just needs to get to the offseason, right? This year's over. This year's a wash. Just get to Toyota, right?
Guangdong Motor Club.
Yeah, exactly, Danny. All right, first off, again, just similar to Storehouse Racing, like, why are y'all doing this? I mean, like, first off, you're caught cheating again, and then you're still running terribly. Like, it's such a horrible look, man. At least if you're gonna get caught cheating, at least do somewhat decent. But Legacy Motor Club, man, this is like, I mean, look, after the season, I don't think anyone was like expecting them to be like a championship contender by no means, but you were expecting some progression, based off of Eric Jones last season. And you were like, okay, now you're bringing Jimmy Johnson into the fold. Hey, could be better, right? No, this has to be historically one of the worst starts for any NASCAR Cup Series team. I'll have to do some more research on that, but I think it is. I think it's one of the worst starts for any Cup Series team in NASCAR history, and that's a pretty long history.
I saw someone mention this in the chat. I confirmed it for myself. I want to give Eric Jones some credit. He did win at Berlin tonight in his home state of Michigan.
Wait,
so,
did he win or did Eric Davis win?
Yeah.
The local news apparently did call him Eric Davis.
Yeah, the local news called him Eric Davis, y'all. Swear to God.
Eric Davis, race car driver. That's what it says on the headline.
Jesus Christ.
Like how did I could see maybe you spelled his name wrong, like his first name wrong. How did you get the wrong last name?
Yeah. But Legacy Motor Club, they can't wait for 2024. Even though Gregson let this slip in his post race, I think what he meant to say was he can't wait for the bye week, but he accidentally said, I can't wait for the offseason. I think he accidentally.
Are we sure he slipped?
I don't know.
I think he can't wait for the offseason.
I mean, look, some people were on social media were like, "Oh, I think that was an accident," but then I'm like, maybe he said that very convincingly though. So
hey, you know what? We were just talking about 09, 2010 junior fandom, and I can tell you by like race 16, I was waiting for the offseason too. So.
Yeah, I can't imagine how that team must feel, because first off, it's like it's basically a brand new team because Jimmy Johnson fired a lot of people and stuff and brought his own people in. So they have to be thinking like, well, damn, like we can't wait. Let's just wait until 2024, I guess. Oh boy.
It's weird because they're kind of basically waiting for the offseason so they can clean reset, bring in Toyota, get that new support.
We still have so much season left.
Well, there's that, but also they just went through a clean reset because of, like you said, Jimmy Johnson bringing his people in. The problem is this last offseason, they didn't really need a reset. Like Eric Jones had won the Southern 500 at the end of last season, was consistently running in the top 10,
They got rid of Ty Dillon.
Well, if that arguably that was a good decision, I suppose. But overall, like this reset, that's what I'm saying. This reset sounded good. It just came at a bad time. I would have rather seen what Petty GMS, with the momentum they had built at the end of last season, what they could do this year. And I'm sure Jimmy and friends didn't think this would be such a huge bump in the road this early. Hell, Jimmy Johnson, haven't really talked about him much. He can barely complete a lap when he's driving one of these cars. Like, it just.
Hey, appreciate that he's here, damn it. Just appreciate he's here. Don't have expectations for a 7-time champion.
Yeah. He could still be playing an Indy car and whatever the sports cars he was in.
Yeah, I just think last week or whatever it was where they all broke radiators or whatever at like the exact same time, that was just like a sign from God that it just flipped the calendar. Happy New Year. It's 2024. Just hibernate until then.
Yeah. So then let's say they like struggle this badly in 2024, like would you say like, oh, it's just ownership at that point, like, all right, Jimmy, like that's enough?
If as long as they show improvement, like even like they need to be close to 23-11's level their first year.
Well, I'd even compare it to Michael Waltrip Racing. I mean, they initially went with Dodges and Chevrolets, had to do a clean reset with the COT, and they were historic. I mean, I think Michael Waltrip didn't have positive points that year until like race 12 or 15 or something. But they built themselves up to be a championship contender, and I don't see Jimmy, forging ahead of Spingate.
Wait, I thought NWR was always with Toyota.
No, Michael Waltrip had the 00 car, the Aaron Stream machine back in the 2000s.
you're talking about okay, yeah, he did have that.
It's very brief.
Yeah, I mean they were very part-time, but they did go full-time with Dodge in 2006. This is what I'm telling about. I could pull a stat out of my ass from 15 years ago, but I can't tell you
that was a collab with Bill Davis, I think. I don't think it was actually his full thing yet.
Well, they were like collaborating, I guess. So I guess you could sort of count it, but
under ownership, I believe, like it was. I don't know how it goes. All I'm saying is it could be a very similar thing. It technically wasn't all Jimmy Johnson's team.
Remember.
It's technically not all Jimmy Johnson's team.
That is true.
It's a GMS team collaboration too. It's the same thing. So I think that, I think that even if they're bad next year, as long as they get better as the year goes on and have, some semblance of life, maybe it'll be better. But we can view it better. But it's just, this has to be, in my opinion, the most disappointing team of the year.
Oh, without question. Without question. And honestly, I mean, like, and again, it's not like the team was coming off of like a season where they made the playoffs. They just improved a lot in 2022 compared to 2021.
If there weren't 14, 15 winners in the regular season, I believe Eric Jones, I can't remember where exactly he was, but I want to say he was like top 15 in points for a good part of the season.
Yeah, he was up there. I mean, but yeah, unfortunately now he's got to go through this little rebuild and stuff, but hopefully they'll show some signs of improvement next year. But unfortunately you still have about, I don't know, 6 months to go in the season, or 4 months or 5 months, whatever it is. But
I want to address this real quick in the chat. Kane fan says, I guess we're just brushing off Eric Jones's crew guy getting hurt. Hope all is well with him. Didn't mean to do that, but they did confirm Monday that he's out of the hospital and seems to be doing okay. Now, so we do want to mention that I think his name was Thomas Hatcher.
Was it JGR? Did they lend someone to come in and help them the rest of the day?
I think 2311 did. So Eric Jones's team is a JGR pit crew apparently, but legacy leases from JGR. So Thomas Hatcher, I guess, is technically a JGR guy. But yeah, no, I didn't mean to gloss over that. But the most recent reports we got were that he is home from the hospital as of like Monday and seems to be doing well, which is great to hear. Which is good to hear. I guess we can move on real quick because we do still have to get to our top 75 driver list. But before we do that, Montreal was in the news earlier this week. I think it was Adam Stern reporting, or no, it was who was it reported? Was it Adam Stern? I didn't write it down.
It was Stern today. One of his famous Stern bombs dropped today.
Stern bomb. This is like a Stern grenade, something a little smaller because it's still a maybe.
Hey, it feels like a bomb to me because I've been waiting for this for years. Come on,
Montreal is in talks.
I just wanted to see another Xfinity race here, let alone a Cup race potentially.
Well, let me get to the news, the actual news. Montreal is in talks with NASCAR to potentially host a Cup Series race as soon as even next year, potentially. This would technically be a street race. How do you say the name of the track? Circuit Gilles Villeneuve?
Yep, Gilles Villeneuve.
Is it Circuit or is it like Cirque de or something? Was it?
There's Circuit.
If she was here, I'd ask my girlfriend who speaks fluent French.
Yeah, I'm not good at French.
The Villeneuve in the name though, is that related to the racer?
Yeah,
it's-
It's after after him.
It's,
Yeah.
it's Jacques Villeneuve's father is who it's named
Yes,
after.
his
correct?
famous father. Yes, his
Yes.
famous father.
If he don't show up to race, I'll be surprised because he was in every single race I think there ever was there in NASCAR.
Where
Yeah.
is Jacques Villeneuve now? Is he? How old is he? Does he still race at all?
He was at Daytona last year.
Yeah, he was at Daytona last year. Remember?
Oh yeah, forgot about that. I just forgot about that whole team Heseberg and all that stuff. I forgot that was a thing.
Yeah, he was with the 27. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Shoot, my bad.
Don't worry,
That
he was
team sounds
very
like a
forgettable in that race.
fever dream.
But now that is someone who I would like to see in Project 91 potentially if that happens.
Yeah, I'd like
Yeah.
to see that. But this track, I feel like it's a no-brainer. NASCAR, great job. Get this deal done ASAP. We've been talking about for years trying to get a race out of the country, let alone a points race, like a Cup Series race and in Montreal too. I mean, this circuit has been proven to put on spectacular racing in the old Nationwide Series days when they would run a one of their one-off weekends there. And then also too, I mean, just look at the Formula One races, man. Like the fans are loyal, man, and they were pretty loyal just for nationwide races back in the day. So I think this is going to be a smash hit success. Yeah, the main question is, what track do you replace it with, though? That's the main question.
Chicago.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
It could be Chicago. If Chicago becomes too big a headache, they can't keep doing it.
Well, the problem with the Chicago stuff is that by the time that the city were to say no to it, because they have like that 90-day or 120-day window or whatever, NASCAR would have to have a schedule finalized. And since Chicago has not done anything so far and the schedule is going to be finalized before they probably put something in, there will be a Chicago street race put on the schedule. Whether or not it's run is the question. I think, now I don't think it'll be on this point in the schedule because of the time of year, but I think this is the race that NASCAR uses in the spot of Auto Club, personally. There's an open spot in the schedule right now. NASCAR needs to push ahead. They want a street race. I think, I know it's not an ISC track, but it's a 1-year deal, and it's a way to push back into that market.
It wouldn't fit an Auto Club's date, but it could.
I just said that.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you have to bump everything, slide a bunch of things forward.
No, we could do our
basically.
ice race. The ice race that never happened. We'll do that in Montreal.
There you go.
Gosh, Goodyear's trying to make a soft tire that wears. You think they have
I know.
the time to make an ice tire?
Denny delivered.
Look, no tires. I want like tank tracks in the back, and I want little like ski mobile little sleds on it.
Yeah, Denny Delivers tweeted this earlier, and I found this hilarious. He said, like, oh, yeah, this is the perfect time for them to set it on the 4th of July weekend day. Like, oh, God, in Canada.
Go to Canada.
Yeah, I'm like, that'd be fair.
Man.
Please rise for Canada.
Oh, my gosh. That'd be funny.
Instead of going to Waffle House after you go to Tim Hortons.
I do love the idea of Canada getting a race, especially at a legit venue like this. I don't know how many viewers we have. Almost 600 folks watching currently. How many of y'all live north of the border? Do we have any Canadian fans watching?
I'm pretty sure. I'm sure
there's a good handful. But how many of y'all would go to or would want to go to Montreal? I asked the chat, would you like to see Montreal on the schedule? And they overwhelmingly said yes. No surprise.
I need a reason to go get my passport anyway. So
yeah, be a good excuse.
Darren, why'd you comment I'm from Canada? Are you from Canada? Were you born in Canada?
I do a bit of trolling. I'm sorry.
All right. Well,
I see some.
Yeah, it was a good number. There's a good handful that are from Canada.
Yeah.
Someone from Buffalo, New York, which I guess isn't too far.
Somebody said July 1st is Canada's Independence Day. Oh my gosh.
The Sunday, if they race, on a Sunday like normal, it'd be June 30th, I believe they could do, and then still do the 4th of July week, the first weekend of July. Cool. That's what they used to do. I mean, because Chicagoland for the last 2 years was on the 4th of July weekend, and it was like July 8th or July 7th. So they could probably do that. 2 street races in a row, possibly.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. Race from Chicago to Montreal. That can be the street race.
just have some people set up at a few gas stations ready to get you topped off.
There you go.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, I think we all here would love to see Montreal back at the expense of what race. Don't exactly know what makes the most sense yet. I'm not quick. I hate, like, I can't be quick to write off Chicago until we've seen it. I know everyone assumes it seems like it's going to be a disaster. It's going to be a one and done, but we don't know yet. So until we've actually seen
that's what matters here. Yeah, that's the biggest thing I'm worried
Well,
about.
Chicago politicians got the race to happen once, so it could happen again. That's my only
No,
point.
no,
But,
no. Beetlejuice got it to happen once.
well, she
the
was a
rest hate her.
politician.
And that was really her getting it done because a lot of people didn't know it was happening.
I'm just saying, I'm not going to write off the race until we've seen it once.
In a horrid way.
On that note, not on that note. This has nothing to do with that whatsoever. But moving on, I should say. Top
We're
75
changing the
drivers.
Subject.
Changing the subject. Our top 75 drivers. The podcast's official list continues on. We've made it now to number 60 through 56. So we're getting into some pretty big names. We're starting to get, we're closing in, let's say, on some NASCAR Hall of Famers. I think we've had a few NASCAR Hall of Famers on the list, but we're starting to get into some of the true legends of the sport that won dozens and dozens of races, won some big races as well. So let's start off. Jarrett, I don't know if you have the graphics ready. I assume you do.
Yep.
So we'll start with number 60, Leroy Yarborough.
He actually drops because he was in the original top 50 and we brought him down to 60.
Yeah, so he got bumped by some of the more modern drivers. 14-time Cup Series winner. He also won, I believe he was the first driver to win what they called the Triple Crown in 1969. He won the Daytona 500, the World 600, and the Southern 500 in the same season. I don't have my list pulled up, so I don't know where I had him, but and I can't
59th.
see the stream. I did 59. Okay, so that sounds about right.
As far as him as a driver, honestly, he was really good, but his career ultimately cut a little short from some accidents that
very tragic.
It messed him up, and I did a video on this. He has a dark side to him. He was kind of not all the way there. People said he just seemed like he would zone out a lot. Junior Johnson often recalled like being at dinner and he just had to look at him and say, "Leroy, eat your food," because he would just zone out. And then one day he was there with his mom, and I forget how old she was at the time, but older lady, and just walks up and starts choking his mom. And she was saved by a nephew of him, I think, that came in and smacked a jelly jar over his head, knocked him out. And ultimately he lived out the rest of his days in an institution.
Yeah, so certainly one of those sad cases of like, just, an athlete where like, makes it to the professional level, has, some head injuries, and then, after he's done. Yeah.
One thing I looked up that I thought was cool is that he did, with his 14 wins and getting as high as he did in the sport, he did all of that while never driving a full season or finishing higher than 15th in points.
Yeah, and in his few races, I mean, he was extremely competitive. That's why I had him so high on this list. That's why I had him at 53. Because I mean, seeing some of the competition he raced too, I was like, wow.
I mean, he was really good. I mean, he got to honestly be before Cale Yarborough, no relation to him. Before him, he was the flagship guy for Junior Johnson for when it first started.
Yeah, helped build that team.
Deserving of a spot in the top 60, actually. But we can move on now to number 59. Marvin Panch was a 17-time NASCAR winner, won the Daytona 500 in 1961, also won the World 600, the Coke 600 in 1966. And looking at our rankings, we were all very consistent, it appears. 55, 57, 57, 57, 58.
There you go.
So somehow, wait, how does that make him 59th? Wait, hold on. How did this add up?
The math isn't mathing here.
Others, I'll just say others peaked higher without going as low.
I see. I guess that makes sense.
There you go.
But yeah, another deserving driver on the list. I think another kind of pioneer of NASCAR.
Oh, yeah. And some of the teams he drove for, I mean, some of the most historic teams. I mean, he drove for Petty Enterprises at one point, and I believe he drove for the Wood Brothers at one point, if I'm not mistaken. And also Smokey Unick, as well, and AJ Foyt he raced with as well. So yeah, it's overall amazing career for just a little over 200 starts over 15 years. It's pretty good.
Yeah, and 17 wins, all between 1956 and 66. And I think who did he finish second to in 1957 for the championship? I feel like around that time it would have been right towards the end of Lee Petty or
I was thinking Lee Petty.
Or
let me look that up for a second.
Yeah, Darian, look that up for us.
Yeah. So Buck Baker, he finished second.
Pretty good competition.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So yeah, had to race against the best for sure.
Yeah, Marvin Panch, I think deserving 59th. We all had him right there inside the top 60. So that's pretty great. Moving on to number 58. Ryan Newman, the Rocket Man. 18-time winner. I don't know how many poles he won. I didn't write it down, but he won a lot, especially early in his career. Won the Daytona 500 in 08, the Brickyard 400 in 2013. He was an all-star winner before it was called the All-Star Race. He was also a Rookie of the Year. I made sure to note that back in 2002. Had a tremendous start to his career. What do you say?
I was about to say, I know you didn't have it in there, but the polls alone should be why he makes this list.
Yeah, 51 career polls. That's a lot. That's
I didn't realize it was that high. Holy crap.
Yeah.
But thinking of math, not mathing, Darian, you brought him down being 62nd. The rest of us are all pretty consistent.
Yeah, obviously the polls are, a good thing. Obviously, has one of the most in NASCAR history or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. It's just never really he was never really like a true championship contender in a sense, really, outside of maybe, some like spark ups here and there and stuff.
He was in the championship career in
2014. He nearly Matt Crafton there.
Let's be honest. All of us thought that 14 to 16 system was a joke.
Come on. Come on, man. But yeah, technically, he was a championship contender that year. But I mean, still a great career. And obviously you guys thought he was higher. So that's why he's so high on this list.
And these numbers are and counting because he is still active in the NASCAR Cup Series.
Is true.
He's totally going to win a pole for Rick Ware. I'll say this though, that time between like 2002 and I would say 2007 was, I don't have the numbers right on me, but that was around when it felt like that, his dominance on Fridays was starting to wane a little bit. But he would go out on the track and you'd just be like, all right, let's hear a Penske Dodge just scream more this time. It was honestly amazing to see, and he very much deserves the nickname Rocket Man.
Absolutely.
There is a reason that in NASCAR 2005, while he didn't make the cover, Harvick made the cover. There's a reason that they made him almost the guy that should have been on the cover, because he was like the main guy you started with in the career mode. If any race he went into, he's probably on the pole. He's probably the most dominant car in that game. There's a reason they put his stats up so high, because he was really good in that time period.
And also people forget, back in the early 2000s, there was a whole debate going on who would win a Cup Series championship first, Ryan Newman or Jimmy Johnson.
Well, he was instrumental in 2003. He's one of the two drivers, and we'll talk about the other later in this list, who was instrumental in the formation of the chase because of his 8 wins, even though he had like 7 DNFs. I have to, Darren, you might want to double check me on that, but he had a large amount of DNFs on top of a large amount of wins. And a lot of fans at the time didn't like that winning apparently didn't mean enough. And so he is like, NASCAR history, might have gone in similar ways, but without Ryan Newman's 2003 season, I don't think that they get as quick to the draw on these chase era.
Hey, there was a lot of black and yellow NASCAR shells in 2003, so.
Napa Racing Fan points out also in the chat that he did win with 3 different teams: Penske, Stewart-Haas, and RCR.
That is true.
Help get Stewart-Haas off the ground too,
and harder to pass than a damn kidney stone.
Honestly, I gotta say his few wins he had of RCR are more impressive looking back on it, because RCR was struggling at that time period.
Yeah, they weren't really the best, but 58.
Moving on from Ryan Newman to one of NASCAR's kind of original superstars, one of the
flamboyant drivers as well.
Colorful personality to say the very least. Tim Richmond we have clocked in at number 57. I had him at 52, but 13-time winner, also won the Southern 500. We're a lot more split on this list. I had him at 52, but like Darian, you had him up at 48.
Let me tell y'all something. If he had lived on and kept progressing in his Cup Series career, I believe this with my heart, full-heartedly, I believe that Dale Earnhardt would not have 7 championships.
Ooh.
He was the man, bro. And that 86 season was not only his peak year, but man, he was giving Dale Sr. the business during that season.
Was 86 his final like real full season?
So yeah, because then obviously around that time he had the AIDS diagnosis and stuff. So
but always the funny guy when he was there, jokester. I'm going to ask y'all a question: was it a finger?
Was it
What?
the finger?
Was it the figure?
The infamous photo. Did y'all see Noah Gregson a few weeks ago at Wilkesboro? Looked like he was sort of trying to
he was trying to
do a more PG reference to that infamous photo.
I've seen the photo. I don't think it was a finger, me personally.
I haven't. I can't say I've studied it too closely.
There's a reason that wasn't his profile pic on this list.
Yeah.
But one thing
yeah.
I will say about him too is he very much was like that movie star personality driver, the partier, the jokester, fun one, but he could back it up on track. And one interesting thing that not a lot of people know is that when NASCAR was trying to keep him out because of his diagnosis, Dale Earnhardt actually came to his defense to Bill France Jr. And said that I want somebody out there that can beat me, and he's the only one that can.
So he could at the time, because in 1987, Richmond didn't run all the races, but Dale Earnhardt had like one of his greatest seasons ever, and partly because Richmond wasn't out there, consistently. But one moment that what really stands out to me was Tim Richmond's final 2 wins, and they came in 1987 when he decided to come back later on in the year. So both Pocono and Riverside. Now, keep in mind, he was, obviously his case with AIDS was full blown at this point. So he straight up won 2 races, not only at Pocono, but at a freaking Riverside, a freaking one of the toughest road courses on the schedule at the time. Straight up and stuff too. And he was all sick and stuff. So again, just imagine if he just didn't get sick, man. He clearly would have been a champion.
Definitely could have. One of those what ifs, no doubt. 57 on our list is Tim Richmond. Our last driver we'll talk about tonight is number 56, Casey Kane. That's right. 18-time Cup Series winner. He also won Rookie of the Year in 2004. He also was he loves Charlotte, 3-time Coke 600 winner, 2006, 2008, and 2012. Also won Indianapolis in 2017. Was that his final Cup win, Brickyard 2017?
The Brickyard was his final win.
Yeah.
Arguably, you can say that was the flukiest win ever because it had a lot of crashes at the end of it.
Yeah, that was I remember watching that race. That was painful at times. But Casey Kane, I think deserving of being on that list. And we heard him recently say at Darlington that he'd considered a NASCAR comeback at some point. Now that some of his health issues, dehydration issues seem to be more under control, but
I would like to
it's
see
unlikely
him.
That
I would like to see him come into like a truck race or something like that at this point. Maybe like a KBM one-off or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm looking at our rankings. Nothing super shocking. We all have him in the low to mid 50s, which is about where he lines up here. I don't know. Does anybody have any argument against or for him?
Well, I don't know about argument, but I'll say that Casey Kane was the first driver I ever saw win in person back in 2006 at Michigan, ran out in the click car. Cool. The thing about Kane for me is, he would have moments of greatness. He was like an amped up version of Jamie McMurray, where he would just, if he was on, he was damn near unbeatable, especially at mile and a halves. But then when he was off, he was really off. And I think that's where people get the skewed look at Kane. People forget in 2012, he was up in the fringes of the championship fight almost to the end of that season in a Hendrick Motorsports car. I believe he finished 4th in the points. He was fast as well in 2013, had great runs, especially I believe that Atlanta win in 2014 to make the chase in the first win and you're in. So he had great moments. I feel like people just forget those great moments for the bad ones.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, the way some fans talk about him now, like, oh, he's a bum. Like, no, he's not. He's one of the greatest drivers in NASCAR history. I mean, that's why, I was so confused when Kyle Petty, when he compared Ryan Blaney to Casey Kane, people were taking offense to it. It's like, no, it's a pretty damn good comparison. I mean, never won a championship, but I mean, yeah, when he was on, oh my gosh, he was certainly one of the best. I mean, and did it with multiple teams too. I mean, obviously we want to talk about his years with Hendrick Motorsports and Ray Evernham, but I mean, that 1 year he ran with Red Bull, I was like, he gave Red Bull their final win in NASCAR.
Still got to win with them.
Yeah, still got to win with them somehow, and that was an awesome scheme, by the way. It's a shame it only ran 1 year, but yeah,
and didn't he ran at the end of 2010. He actually finished with Red Bull driving the remainder of the races in the 83, and Eric Almirola took over the 9 Budweiser car towards the end of that season.
Yeah, and also he was the first driver to give Richard Petty his first Cup win in decades too.
It was always so interesting. Hendrick announced he was coming to the 5 in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you knew, but you knew it's like, okay, in 2 years he's going to come here, kind of like the deal with Reddick was supposed to be.
Yeah.
But then it was like, okay, but I'm out of the 9 and I need something to do. So he just showed up. He did 1 year for Red Bull. And I don't remember if Red Bull knew that was going to be their last season or not.
Yeah, not sure, but yeah. Hey, Casey Kane, I got him at 52 because he is one of the best. Not quite in the top 50, but hey, he's still in my top 75.
We got him in the mid 50s. Yeah, for sure. So to wrap up one more time, Leroy Yarbrough, we have at 60, Marvin Panch, 59, Ryan Newman at 58, 57, Tim Richmond, and 56, Casey Kane. Join us next week. We'll break down numbers 55 through 50 slowly but surely, ladies and gentlemen. We're working our way through our top 75.
Yes.
It's been a lot of fun so far. But now, boys, we are nearing the top of the hour, almost 2 hours into the show. I think it's time we talk about Sonoma, or as I still call it sometimes, Infineon Raceway.
Or what about Sears Point for older fans?
I don't go quite that far back, but the video games I played growing up, it was still Infineon. So,
Infineon, that was the name of a company, right?
Yeah, I believe it was a sponsor. I don't know what Infineon does or did. If they're still around, I don't know, but it was a cool name. I thought that was a cool name for a track.
Wine country.
Yeah, way better than Worldwide Technology Raceway, at least in my opinion. I don't know.
Infineon is a technology company making semiconductors and other systems.
It's all Worldwide Technology. Well, on that note, let's get into the details. It's worth noting, once again, no stage breaks this weekend on road courses. Yeah, so we'll get to see that for the second time this year. Rain tires, of course, are always available if needed, although it's California. I haven't looked at the weather. Maybe the weather is terrible. It is California. I feel confident saying the weather will be all right. Well, let's start with the Xfinity Series race. It's the DoorDash 250. It's 80 laps. It'll be Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern time on FS1. Man, that's a late start. I know it's West Coast, so it's still daylight out there.
Say that again. What time again? Say it again.
8 p.m. Eastern is what I have written down. I don't know if that's correct.
Well, dang. Okay.
So that would be 5 p.m. Pacific time.
Yeah.
74 degrees, partly cloudy, 4% chance of rain, so it'll be very nice. Is this the first Xfinity race at Sonoma?
Yep.
I didn't even realize that.
Historic.
Ever.
It just hit me.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. The Cup race is once again the Toyota Save Mart 350, 110 laps. It's Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time on Big Fox. Has Sonoma ever been on Big Fox in recent years? Back in the day, maybe.
But not in recent years, I don't think.
Not in recent years. This is Fox's final race of the season, going into that bye week.
Thank you. Thank the Lord.
Bring on Dale Jr., but then we also get the one like Jeff Burton who yells over him a lot.
Yeah. Hey, chat, celebrate, chat. It's over.
Fox and PRN will broadcast the race. 78 degrees. There is a 40% chance of rain. So, yeah, I guess that is about as high as you could expect this time of year out in wine country. But Daniel Suarez won this race last year to get his first and currently his only Cup Series win. Someone to watch out for. On that note of drivers to watch out for, Darian, who does Las Vegas currently have as the betting favorites going in?
Oh boy, these are the closest odds the odds have been all season. And I mean, outside of like Talladega, these are like some of the closest ever for all categories. Because in the favorites category, we have Tyler Reddick at plus 450, followed by Chase Elliott at plus 500. And then William Byron at plus 850, with Ross Chastain and Kyle Busch at plus 900. As for the best of the rest, Daniel Suarez and AJ Allmendinger at plus 1,600, followed by Austin Cindric at plus 1,800, with Chris Buescher and Kevin Harvick at plus 2,000 and plus 2,500. As for the underdogs, very interesting because I'm going to name off some guys that usually aren't underdogs, but in the betting odds they are this week. Joey Logano and Martin Truex Jr., as well as Ryan Blaney, are all three plus 3,500. Seems like a steal to me, especially for Martin Truex Jr., who's dominated on this track before. And then as for the final two, you have Denny Hamlin at plus 4,000 and Michael McDowell at plus 4,500. So very interesting as far as the odds are concerned for this week. And we're going to continue with the fantasy route really quick here, because I'm going to list off the overall standings for the league. Just give me a second. Oh gosh, NASCAR.com and their freaking pop-up ads. What do you know? What do you know? Oh my gosh.
Name of worst duo.
Ridiculous. Anyways, Sean 48NY is the points leader over Trevor Sports 98, followed by the NASCAR Bear, Polish Victory Lap, and oh my gosh, my mom's in the top 5 now. Holy crap.
Whoa.
BFM mom back in the top 5, and I'm just barely hanging on to the top 10. Oh boy, the tables have turned. The tables have turned. And as for the NWP Fantasy League 2, JC underscore 43 P1, followed by Racer Roar 48. In third is 42 Larson 5, followed by Common Chase Elliott, and in fifth is Hot Wheels. Hot Wheels. Excuse me. I don't know why I said that, but anyways,
Hug Wheels.
Yeah. I don't know. The first part was spelled HAUG, so I just said that at first, but they said I'd say Hot Wheels, so I see what they did there. But Thank you guys for playing, and Eric, let's get to your favorite part this time. Is it your favorite segment this weekend? Is it your favorite segment?
Why did I have to host this week? Oh my god, I'm actually choking. What the heck?
Hey, why'd you have to pick Ty Majeski? Just think about it. If you don't pick Ty Majeski, then hey, you might be good, I think, right?
He was going for the win when he effed up. Goodness gracious.
It happens.
Yes. Chat, you and I are now tied for the points lead in our podcast pick points. We both have 285. We've opened up a gap, though, to the basement, if you will. Our basement boys of Danny, Darian, and Jarrett in that order. I guess Darian and Jarrett are actually tied. You guys are
we got a tie.
You can't really call me a basement boy. I'm not.
We're roommates.
Step.
Hey, we were staying in a hotel together last weekend, and we're staying in the basement together this weekend.
Like y'all are just on the couch watching TV, and I just got up on the stairs.
Now you're sitting on top of the washing machine down there.
And then Eric in the chat, where would they be? Just in the house, basically, just in the house,
sitting on the couch.
Yeah,
watching y'all struggle for dominance in the basement. I don't know.
They have a security camera hooked up to a TV upstairs, and they're just watching it.
Yeah, they're just watching us. But yeah, no, hey, this is awesome too, because also Jerry, is this true? This is the close the points have been overall in the years we've done this, correct? At this point?
Yeah, I mean, still, you and I could, if everything went wrong in the next like week or two, could easily be the points leaders. So
Nice.
Yeah,
that's what's up.
So I guess we'll start with our Xfinity Series pick. I'll lead off still. Chat, you guys still will go. I guess you'll be the final ones to go, just to keep things simple and straightforward. I almost went with Kyle Larson. I was between this man and my actual pick, because Larson's driving the 17. I think it's a Hendrick Motorsports entry technically. But then I remember that last year, I remember Road America, he got beat by Ty Gibbs. And I thought, Larson's great. Larson's phenomenal. But this is the Xfinity Series. I can't bet against AJ Allmendinger, who's slotted to drive the 10. So AJ Allmendinger is my Xfinity pick.
Not a bad pick. I'm going to be very boring, and I'm going to stick to the usual crowd and say John Hunter Nemechek still wins this one.
Ooh.
Yeah, my pick's not really that much entertaining either. It's a Cup guy coming down. Kyle Larson gonna win.
I'm gonna go with what Eric went with and what the chat's looking to go with. AJ Allmendinger, until he proves that he should not be the betting favorite for Xfinity road courses, I will always pick him.
Yeah, he's done too many superhuman things on road courses in this series for me to bet against him. Even though he is in the 10, not the 16, and colleague maybe not quite what they once were, but I think they're still good enough. Looks like the chat's also going AJ Allmendinger.
Yeah.
For the Xfinity race. Let's move on to the Cup race. The suck pick. I'll start things off. I'll go Brad Keselowski. He was so far off his game at Coda, and I know he's been pretty good, I think, at Sonoma in the past. I haven't seen enough road course success from that team lately, or I should specify, from Keselowski lately. Chris Buescher's been decent. So Keselowski's my suck pick.
I forgot him this early now. My suck pick is Who did I say? Sorry. Corey LaJoy. He's back in his car, and he's not going to do well.
Look, we're at a road course. You already know this driver is infamous for sucking on road courses. Hey, he's had a pretty good strain of runs the past couple of weeks, but it's going to come to an end. Hopefully, he can pick it back up after the off weekend. Bubba Wallace.
I'm gonna go Austin Dillon. That's all I gotta say.
Bad. The safe road course pick. Chat seems to be leaning Bubba Wallace as well.
I love how Ross Crash Chain just says legacy. So basically just play with all the legacy cars.
That's a pretty safe pick. I
like,
do see a lot of
Gregsons.
Gregsons.
Which one? Legacy.
Yeah.
I do see a lot of Gregsons as well, but I think Bubba got the bump at the beginning. So we'll move on to our dark horse pick. And I was gonna pick this guy as my dark horse, but then you're reading the betting odds, Darian, and this dude actually had like top 10 odds. He's one of the favorites, I almost think. So I'm actually going to go with somebody who was surprisingly low on the betting odds, Martin Truex Jr. He had like the 14th best odds, something like that. 40. Like I'm going to call him an underdog. I think the odds are looking at Toyota's lack of success on road courses last year and are holding that against them. And maybe that still will be the case. But I mean, Tyler Reddick in a Toyota dominated COTA a few weeks ago. So I think Toyota, maybe they're not 100% back, but they're better on road courses than they were most of last year. So I think Truex is a good underdog pick since apparently he counts as an underdog.
Now I'm curious who your original underdog was. But my underdog for this one is going to be Austin Cindric. So I defended him a lot and the other stuff this week, but he is good. It's shown he's good at road courses. He hasn't had quite the speed I think he'd hoped for in Cup yet here, but I feel like that could change at a track like Sonoma.
And I was talking about front row at the beginning of the show, and it's funny I talk about the driver now. But Michael McDowell, man, I mean, what more can you say? Michael McDowell on road courses, amen. Have a blast. Hopefully he'll get a top 10. But hopefully Michael McDowell supremacy will reign supreme this weekend.
Damn right. But I'm gonna go with Austin Cindric as well. I think that he's criminally underrated by a lot of people with road courses. Maybe not the best in Cup. But we saw in Xfinity how well he was, so I'm going to go with him as my dark horse.
Looks
not
like
a bad pick at all.
Chat is going with Eric's favorite number to 17.
Yeah, I've seen it's been close between Buescher and McDowell, but I think
Buescher, that's a good pick. Yeah,
I forgot he come close to winning this one last year.
He was second here last year, if I remember correctly. So that's not a bad dark horse pick at all. I'm actually surprised none of us picked him because, like I said, he was my underdog pick until the betting odds had him in the top 10. So all right, so moving on then to what time is it, Darian?
Oh yes, it's time for Who's Gonna Win. Who's gonna win at Sonoma, Eric?
This may be a boring pick, but I was singing Toyota a lot of praises a moment ago. Tyler Reddick. I know this is a very different track than Circuit of the Americas. It's a very technical, the dirt getting up on it's different conditions. Don't get me wrong. But Tyler Reddick has emerged the past 12 months or so as maybe the best road racer in the Cup Series right now. And he didn't put a wheel wrong at COTA a few weeks ago. So I just feel like Reddick's the safest pick right now. This does feel like almost as big a wild card as Daytona or Talladega. Reddick to me is the safest pick.
I may not be going with Reddick, but I feel like this pick is also a little safer because he has won here before. And I'm going to go with Kyle Larson for this one.
Yeah, Eric, I mean, what more can you say, man? Tyler Reddick has the best odds for a reason. And yeah, he is my pick as well. I mean, just the way he has been dominating on these road courses the past couple of years. I mean, just, phenomenal. So, I mean, he currently has the hot hand. So, yeah, Tyler Reddick.
Well, Sonoma has always been a little bit of an oddball when it comes to favorites outside of guys like Gordon and Stewart. But in recent years, it has. This guy ran really well at COTA, led a ton of laps. In the past, he has run well, and with no stage breaks, probably would have ran away with the victory early on in his career when he wasn't as good as he is now. I'm going to go William Byron as my pick.
I like that pick. I thought about that pick.
I got to say for the chat, while I've seen some 45s, I've seen way more 9s. It seems like they think he's going to come back and get the win, and they're trying to use this as a chance to get away from Eric a little bit.
Because I saw some people going with the 45s, but then a few were like, no, not the 45.
I'm saying mainly 9, so they think They think Chase Elliott returns.
Hey, give him the 9. It looks unanimous to me. I mean, give him
I
the
think
9.
it's pretty clearly the 9 seems to be the front runner. I saw a few Kyle Bushes, a few Tyler Reddicks.
No
but
poll necessary.
I don't think we need a poll this week.
No.
I think Chase Elliott's their pick.
Okay.
He didn't run
Good
Coda,
luck.
so this would be his first road course race of the year.
Good
That
luck,
is
chat.
true.
Good luck, chat.
Good luck, chat. May the best pick win.
He struggled at times at Sonoma. I'm surprised.
Ooh, Jared
But-
dropping the
but-
hard truth on y'all.
Oh.
He has finished inside the top 5 here, though. So
Yeah,
That's terrible for Chase Elliott at road courses,
Yeah.
though.
It's like asking 2004 Dale Jr., hey, can you just give me a 5th place run at Talladega this weekend?
just 5th.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So Chase Elliott is your pick, chat. Something to watch out for. That's going to be interesting. We just hit the 2-hour mark of the stream, which means it's time to wrap up with the remaining super chats. Thank you all so much for the support. We're going to get through each and every single one of these, beginning with, make sure I'm picking up in the right spot. Marky Mark sent 5 earlier, said, howdy, gents. I'm excited for Sonoma. Well, good timing, Marky Mark. We were just talking about Sonoma. I'm excited for it as well. Have any of y'all here been to Sonoma before? Because I've
Nope.
always
No.
wanted to go out there. It's
Nope.
just so far.
Nope.
Seems like a neat track. I'd like to visit at some point, hopefully sometime soon.
Mhm.
8-Bit Ghost Ripper Dragon sent 2 and said, next team most likely to jump ship. Like leave, I guess. Rick Ware, we talked about them considering the off-track stuff.
I've had people say like, oh, Storehouse
Or-
Racing will be out of racing. I'm like, I don't know about that.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
Or they mean jump ship like manufacturer.
Oh, maybe. That could mean
Maybe.
jump ship like
Oh.
manufacturer. Maybe that's what they mean.
I would go with SHR on that one.
Yeah, same.
Feels like they're the next team that's going to be looking for a big change, a big reset. So I could see it, maybe. Dom the race fan sent 5 earlier. Will more teams start running part-time cars like Front Row with the 36, 23 with the 67, Trackhouse Project 91? As well, could we see full-time open cars again? I think with the current charter agreement, that's
No.
very unlikely considering how much less purse money you get if you're not a chartered team.
No.
It doesn't matter if you finish top 8, top 5, you're not going to get the same money as pretty much any chartered team, the way I understand it. So unfortunately, that's unlikely under the current deal. 8-Bit Ghost Ripper Dragon, another 2. Headlights when NASCAR gets an E-Series, yes or no? Sure, why not?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Yeah,
why
Just
not?
more debris in a crash.
Yeah. Isaac, thanks for the 2. Dylan is just jealous of his teammate. I think he's talking about Austin Dillon earlier when he was mad at Cindric. I wouldn't go that far. I think Austin Dillon takes great pride in what Kyle Busch is doing for that
Well,
team.
he
Maybe-
brought him in.
Exactly. He was sort of the in-between guy who connected
Yeah.
Busch with Richard Childress. And I think Austin Dillon knows at some point in his future, he'll be in a similar position that his grandfather currently is. And this will be a nice feather in his cap.
Yeah.
I got Kyle Busch away
That's-
from Gibbs and into victory lane.
And now
with,
they're looking like a
team.
championship contender
Exactly.
again. So pretty good, smart move, Dylan.
Maybe
Appreciate
part
it.
of him is like, dang, yeah, I am really struggling compared to Busch as a driver. But I think the business side of Austin Dillon is very proud of what Busch has done so far. Ian Euchre sent 5. So right now, I think Byron, Blaney, Larson, and Busch, champ 4. Blaney's probably the boldest pick of that bunch.
Well,
He
I
does
mean,
have the
right
win.
now, Blaney is the points leader right now, technically. So
That is a good point. Yeah, I forgot
Yeah.
about that.
he is consistent. So I'm just
That's
saying.
15 playoff points could go a long way. That's
Mhm,
not a bad
yeah.
pick.
Yeah.
I think it'll be whoever like the least penalized team is by the end of the year. Jupiter Rain sent 2. Suspend any intentional crash, not just right hooks. Ooh, that's bold.
Yeah,
Like there's like no gray area. If you like spin someone out kind of gently, is that the same as if you like Tenzeth Logano somebody?
I feel like right hooking someone, that offers a little more danger than any other real kind
Yeah.
of intentional.
Yeah, I mean, if you like
And then-
maybe you just hit someone in the back of the bumper and they spin, then okay. But
And then if you pull a Danica and you wreck yourself trying to wreck somebody, I think that's just self-policing.
embarrassment. Yeah, it's just embarrassment. Like the social media is gonna make fun of you. They're gonna give you a penalty for life. Never gonna let you forget it.
David Bell sent another 5. Austin Cindric spun Christopher Bell. We went to 31st and still came back and passed that driving in over his head slowpoke.
Oh boy.
Oh man, some fighting words, controversy.
Hey,
All right.
well, hold it now.
Beast of Metal 1989 said another one said, believe none of what you see, especially these days. Ooh,
Ooh,
that's either really deep or a little
That's-
crazy. I'm not
it's a
sure.
good saying. It's a little bit of both.
You are fake news.
Yeah.
Dominion 42 sent 10. In my opinion, Hocevar is now the most likely candidate for the JRM number 8, with him saying he has no ride for next year. As for the Stewart Haas number 10, I'm leaning towards Herbst over Zane, and especially McDowell. Oh, I mean,
Herbst has ran a little bit better though. I mean, but
Not
I don't
lately.
know.
Yeah, not lately. Custer has sort of like surpassed him as we expected.
Custer's been taken over.
The problem, I guess, is if you lose Almirola and you lose that Smithfield money, I mean, Zane is probably the best young driver available, but does he bring in anywhere near enough funding to make up for? He's not going to bring in Smithfield money, but does he bring in enough money to make it worth signing him? Especially considering you probably have to buy him out of his front row contract. So you're like, he's expensive potentially.
I wonder if Smithfield would stick around, because honestly, I feel like it's been literally their only marketing campaign. I never see a Smithfield commercial. I just see it on a car.
Yeah,
ever since they got rid of Daytona Day.
They do some on-track, they do some at-track activations I've seen, but I don't know about this year. Beast of Metal clarified that believe none of what you see Super Chat was directed at the SMT data. So we have someone who's skeptical of the SMT.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Groovy Goose sent 2, said stacking pennies, more like stacking L's.
Oh boy, yeah,
that's a little harsh, but
more like stacking up 21st place position.
Hey, you go. Side note, thinking about podcasts, I saw that they were supposed to be bringing back Glass Case of Emotion. I didn't even know that.
I saw it's supposed to debut tomorrow. I saw that. Yeah.
Blaney finally won a race and said, I'm back.
He's happy again.
Fire up the podcast, boys.
He's happy again. And then they'll be gone for another 2 years.
8-Bit Ghost Ripper Dragon, very generous tonight, sent 10. Most likely to happen first, NASCAR Weekly Podcast on Twitch. No, probably not. Flags of favorite drivers in y'all's backdrop. Me and Jarrett used to have flags in the background, just not recently. Yeah, Deegan in a cup car. It might be a while. Or LaJoy hits the kill switch on his top ride debut. Oh wait, that happened. Yeah, well, 3 of these 4 have actually. Well, no, we haven't been on Twitch before. 2 of these 4 have happened. I don't think we even talked, guys. Are we going to Twitch? Have we talked about going to Twitch? Has that ever come up?
I don't know.
Twitch was in the headlines lately for not good reasons.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know.
Well, Twitch is overrated as is.
Yeah,
I think YouTube, I wouldn't be going to Twitch anytime soon.
We're pretty comfortable where we're at. Another one from Ghost Ripper Dragon. This message brought to you by Eric's favorite chicken, raising Corey's kill switch. Raising cans. Is that even a pun? I do like raising cans.
I don't know. It's just I just like how he tries it though. That's funny.
Groovy Goose says BFM equals banned from media.
Yeah.
Centers. Y'all rock. Well, thank you, Groovy Goose.
You're gonna ban me for jinxing for sure.
Dissimulate sent 10. SHR needs to sign Hocevar into the 4 with Harvick's crew. Sign Kimi Räikkönen into the 14 as his teammate. Keep Almirola in the 10 and put Barry into the 41.
Sign
wow,
who?
This is like a total overhaul. Everyone but Eric Almirola is being swapped out, which seems like the opposite. I would argue Almirola is the one who needs to be swapped.
They say sign Kimi Räikkönen, bro. Hey, you're funny, bro. You're funny.
I don't know if that's practical, but I like the creativity. That's like when you force trades in like NBA 2K or something, you just build a dream team.
Yeah.
Will Griffin, thanks for the 5. What do y'all think about the Chase clowning after he was suspended? As a Philly guy, I'm ride or die Xfinity. Also got my out of the group diecast yesterday. Well, that's great. Glad you got your diecast, Will. What did y'all think of the Chase clowning after he was suspended? I don't like people making fun of Chase.
It's not so much on Chase. It's more. It feels like some of his fans need to be brought down just a tad, a little bit.
Oh yeah, you got to knock down some of the Chase Elliott fan base a little.
I mean, it's like how I feel. I'm a Tennessee football fan. I see some very prideful Georgia fans out there these days. They're getting to be as bad as Alabama fans were.
Hey, you got to knock them off first, Dan. You got to knock them off first.
Right now, they've won 2 championships.
Yeah, I'm sorry. They got the juice right now, But right now, Chase Elliott does not have the juice. So yeah, you got to knock their fans down.
Just gotta be humble a little bit every now and again.
I guess I can't talk as an Astros fan right now. But people sent 2. Austin Cindric is the real golden child of NASCAR. Oh my God. Who isn't Golden Boy? Everyone apparently is. Everyone is a favorite child, apparently. Hunter Nixon Fishing. Always enjoy the streams. Keep it up. I'll be going to the Atlanta race in July. Anyone else?
Oh, yeah. I'll see. Maybe. Yeah, we'll see.
That was so funny.
No offense. I love Atlanta. I love Tyler down there. But
It's hot.
Man, it's a long way to drive for it to be that hot.
Yeah,
It
it's
is hot in July, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler McGonigal, I saw the super chat earlier. He said, don't know if it was said, but correction, Eric, William Byron leads the league with 7 stage wins. P.S. I'm watching 40 minutes behind. Hi, Jarrett. Yes, I earlier said Chastain has the most stage wins. I made a mistake. He's second. Byron does have the most, which I just forgot.
Hi.
Tyler also said another 5 said, Danny's upset about 3 to 4 megabits per second download at the track. Meanwhile, that's what my home internet is able to do.
Oh,
Cries on the inside.
Oh,
I'll be
That's
right
unfortunate,
back.
Tyler.
All right. Oh,
Meanwhile,
he drove Danny out of the room.
yeah, he said he'd be back.
Meanwhile, the internet that's supporting this stream right now is uploading at like 850.
Oh, that's beautiful. Keep that up. I love that.
Love it.
Napa Racing Fan is their own rendition of "Oh Canada," saying, "Give us a Cup race, Mo Sport Montreal. Give us both if you can. With trucks, Xfinity and Cup, a true NASCAR weekend. Give 99 a date in Mexico. Give Daniel Suarez, I guess, a date in Mexico." I'm sure he wouldn't mind that. I mean, but yeah, and there's a bunch of musical note emojis, so I didn't know if you wanted me to sing that. I'm not going to sing that.
No.
NASCAR Bluey sent, so if drivers are now going to start crying wolf to suspend other drivers for wrecking, might as well come out of the medical center with bandages and crutches. I like that. Yeah, just make a whole show out of it.
Yeah, make a whole thing.
So was there something for me?
Something about the internet. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, thought someone said something to me.
It had something to do with it was internet. Anyway, Austin Bland said, thanks for the 5. If you had to, I like this one. I saw this one earlier. If you had to defend Jeff Gordon being better than Jimmy Johnson, how would you do it?
I would just
2017 to 2020 Jimmy Johnson compared to 2011 to 2015 Jeff Gordon.
Damn. And also, if they didn't add the chase, I'm pretty sure Gordon would have.
Oh no, but they would have raced differently.
Yeah, but
let's be fair. Be fair here.
I'm trying to make an argument though.
Jeff
there
did
isn't
have
too many.
Jeff did have more wins. You could argue Jeff was more important to the growth of the sport because he was on SNL and in movies and stuff. Jimmy was, I just dropped my water bottle. It's not really in that conversation. So you could make an argument that he's more important to the history of the sport, maybe for that reason. But that's a fun kind of question. I don't know. Mittens the Racing Cat. Mittens has returned. Hey boys, Ratatouille is overrated. Hey, there's Shugs.
Hi Shugs. Mittens
and Shugs can be best friends. May Mittens rest in peace. I don't remember what live Mittens is on, but yes. Christian Phelps, thanks for the 5. Who is the next new winner?
Ty.
Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs. Yeah, Ty Gibbs.
No, I'm kidding. Gibbs.
Oh, no. That's bold. I know. I would have looked at Harvick before then. I'd look at Chase Elliott, Bowman, even. Danny, what about Bowman? I assume that when I see new winner, I assume that meant new to this season, not first time. I guess you guys took this first time winner.
Yeah, I thought it meant first time.
Yeah, I thought it meant first time, but hey, whatever you mean.
Whatever. I guess we weren't on the same page.
It's up to interpretation, I guess.
Yeah. Irvin Alvarado sent 5. Given it's the 24 hours of Le Mans for Garage 56, what would be your expectation of success? Finish the entire race in one piece or at least close to the 24-hour mark? I don't know enough about this race to know what's realistic. I'd like for it to make most of the laps. If it has to come into the garage for a couple repairs here or there, hopefully he's able to get back out.
Just finish the race, honestly. I mean, that's a pretty big accomplishment just to finish that historic.
Yeah, finish first in your class.
That's done.
Yeah, that too.
Ross Crash Dane, thanks for the 5. I finally learned how to say that name without getting tongue-tied. Ross Crash Dane. I found some mineral ore while mining for a 25th place finish. It was a Quarry LaJoy.
Oh my god!
What a pun!
All right, that's it, guys. That's the show. We're out of here. Later.
We've got 2 more super chats. Austin Bland sent 2. Danny, what is your opinion of Ole Miss fans?
Gotcha. This.
What is that?
Mustard?
It is mustard.
Are they the ones who threw mustard on the field or something?
Yes.
Come on, Ole Miss.
Because no, it was Tennessee fans.
Tennessee
fans. Tennessee started throwing trash because honestly, Ole Miss was playing very dirty, and the rest were on their side.
Oh man,
accusations. That leads into a SDEON super chat. Suspensions and penalties everywhere. Yes, even for Tennessee and Ole Miss. Sounds like it.
Everywhere. You get them. Everyone gets them.
Final super chat of the night comes from Bake the Snake. Always good to see Bake the Snake. Says, got my Out of the Groove diecast yesterday. Already got it on display, and I'm looking forward to taking it to Pocono and hopefully getting it signed at Autograph Alley. That's awesome. Well, I'd love to hear that.
That's what's up.
Sorry if you guys saw me freak out. I just got bit by Shucks.
Shucks!
Oh, Suggs! What the hell? Oh my
no,
god!
I really appreciate everyone.
fish person.
You got two more.
Yeah, really appreciate though everyone who ordered the diecast. They've almost all shipped out. I mean, they've all shipped out, but they may not have been delivered yet for everybody, depending on where you live. But yeah, for sure. Brendan Poole, if he sees that at the track, he will jump at the opportunity to sign one of those things. He's super excited. That's his first diecast that's actually been made.
Oh,
so,
cool.
Yeah, Brendan is very excited about that. So that's awesome to hear though, Bake the Snake. Napa Racing fan, thanks for the 5. Fox's send-off. Sonoma will run over the TV window. Brief post-race, winner interview only. We send you to this USFL game that no one cares about.
Yeah.
And yeah, that seems like the correct script. And final one from Daylight Pacific Northwest Productions. I assume that's what the PNW stands for.
Mhm.
Thoughts of a cup race at Portland?
Oh, I'd love it. I'd love one there. But then you also have to think about, the amount of road courses we have. I mean, it'd start to be a little too much at that point, I feel like.
Someone sent a super chat earlier. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jared.
It has to be a better time on the schedule for anyone that's going out there. Because it can't be like, you're going out to Portland, then you come back, then go out to Sonoma.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, you can't do that. Maybe you could hit Portland and Sonoma on the same trip.
From what I understand, the Xfinity teams had to just basically send themselves out there with 2 cars.
Yeah. On the plus side, at least, a lot of the races leading up to Portland were, North Wilkesboro, Charlotte, close to home, not strenuous travel trips. Well, I guess for Xfinity had an off weekend during Wilkesboro, right? They were off. So I guess they had an off weekend and then they had Charlotte. So at least you had some time to kind of regroup, get ready for that journey.
But that was that whole deal. Like the race got rained and then they had to just had to just send the hauler out there.
Yeah, and in the case of Tommy Joe and Alpha Prime, they had all sorts of hauler issues. I don't remember what all slowed them down, but they had like things breaking down on. So I mean, it's logistically tough to get to Portland. If there's a way to maybe hit up another track while you're out there, make it easier on the teams, do something West Coast swing-esque. Yeah, great. But I also do worry about too many road courses. Jimmy Leos, by the way, New Jersey smashed his record for worst air quality day in 43 years from the dense smoke with the wildfires.
There's some pretty crazy images.
And the fire, it's not even in America, it's in Canada, ain't it?
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah, it's just spreading.
It's Chastain's fault.
It's Chastain's fault. Everything.
Ross.
I remember back in 2016 when I was at UT, the fire was happening in the Smoky Mountains and it almost burned down Gatlinburg. And that smoke drifted all the way to Knoxville. And I remember how it was just horrible walking around campus during that.
Yeah. Everyone in the Northeast definitely stay safe.
I mean, in a lot of those places like New York City where it's been really bad. I mean, they have like smog as it is, and then that on top of it,
That's true. I saw like the Yankees game got postponed. So yeah, I just hope everyone's staying safe. The images I saw, it was looked like a film set. Like it was it looked like a natural, like
you in like Blade Runner or something like that. You know what I mean? Or like I Am Legend, Yeah.
So hope everyone's doing well out there. Hopefully it passes in due time. But on that note, I suppose, thank you everyone for tuning in to the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. Thank you everyone who sent super chats. Really and truly appreciate your very generous support. It was great to hang out with you guys. Another Wednesday night, another fun NASCAR conversation. We'll be back next week, Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time, June 14th on Black Flags Matters YouTube channel. You see the upcoming schedule scrolling underneath us right now. We'll go over the Sonoma weekend. We'll lead you into the off weekend as well. I'm sure there'll still be plenty of stories to talk about. And we'll continue with our top 75 Cup Series driver list. Final thoughts, gentlemen, before we pack it up for the week?
Well, hey, another great show in the books. A lot to talk about, but we're heading into the only off week of the season. That'll be interesting to talk about.
If you so happen to be at the Rockford Speedway on Saturday night for the trailer races, I will be there with my family, and Slap will be there with me. So come up and say hey if you're there.
Awesome stuff. That's great. Well, thank you all once again for listening. We will see you again next week on Darian's channel.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
for watching, y'all.
Goodbye.
Danny with the mustache.
Have some fun tonight. Go get us a W. Hell yeah. Ready. Green. What the? Copy. Right foot down. Unbelievable, man. Way to keep your head in it. Holy oh boy. Oh, boy. Yeah. What? Yeah. I'm done with it. Fix your face. Set sail. Steve, you look beautiful. Doing great.